This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
This is It Was a Thing on TV.
Spoiler number one is Dr. Lee frowns. It stinks.
What is going on? What is going on?
Episode number 75, submission number 260, Video Power. Video Powered aired in syndication from the fall of 1990 to the spring of 1992 for a total of 83 episodes.
Video power, Video power, My show is kicking with maximum hype. Say video power, yeah, that's right, word. I've got the ability to make you win. You want the edge? I'll push the power surge. Let her rip. Feel the power. Power. Feel the power. Feel power. Feel the power. Power. Feel the power. Feel the power. Feel the power.
Well, guys, I got a question. How does a syndicated show go from a cartoon to a game show?
You know, that's a good question because we've talked about shows which have changed names. See Second Chance and Boys Will Be Boys. And also we've seen shows that have changed their setting somewhat. Look at We've Got It Made, kind of, sort of. But I don't think we've run into a show that literally changed genres.
That's just insane, but well, you know what, let's talk about, like, how did this come about? This came about in the age of the silver age of video games, as it were. Nintendo was controlling just an insane market share in the video game market. And of course, they've just released the Game Boy, Super Mario Bros. 3, and I think they were a year or two away from releasing the big nuclear bomb in the video game world that is the Super Nintendo.
Yeah, that would have been like 92 or so, yeah.
91.
And in addition to all of this, you have the Genesis, or the Mega Drive for our UK listeners, and the TurboGrafx 16, or the PC Engine for our Japanese listeners.
Which I don't think anybody had. I swear to God.
I know a few people who had them, but they were very few and far in between.
I think the most people started playing TurboGrafx 16 was when Nintendo put it on the Virtual Console, like in 2007.
That was right.
That was realistically most people's first experience with the TurboGrafx.
That was my personal first experience with the TurboGrafx.
Same here. That was my first with Bonk's Adventure.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, Silver Age in video games. So how are people going to capitalize off of this Silver Age in video games? Enter Alan J. Bobot and Haim Saban.
Wait, that Haim Saban?
That Haim Saban. Look at my background. That Haim Saban. We're doing this on Zoom, folks. Anyway, yeah, they've teamed up to create what was a daily video game news magazine that speaks to kids and teenagers, or at least that's what their target demo was. And to host it all, they got a 15-year-old New York actor by the name of Stevie Paskowski. But he wasn't Stevie Paskowski. Oh, no. He was Johnny Arcade. And he had and if you're a kid and you watch this show, he had just the swankest setup. He had this chill area with couches and snacks and a really big screen, and on the other side he had this desk that had a Nintendo, it had a Genesis, it had his Game Boy, and it had a Turbo Graphics for some reason. And it also had just so much space for everything, and this was just if you were a kid who played video games, I know that now you're an adult who plays video games and you look at it and you're just shaking your head like, what the hell, dude? But back in the day, man, that was the hook up. I think that was the genesis of the man cave. I don't know.
Well, also, I'll add this. Video Power wasn't alone in that market in 1990 because there was a better show, and I think universally among the three of us, we believe this was the better show. Game Pro TV, hosted by J.D. Roth.
Oh, of course, it has J.D. Roth. How can it not be bad?
Yep.
Well, but not just him, but also the show itself was more devoted to actually the games themselves and hints and tips and tricks, and maybe in a way it was made to sell its magazine, which I'll admit, I didn't get Nintendo Power as a kid. I was a Game Pro person.
I had it all. I had Nintendo Power, I had Game Pro, EGM, Game Players, Video Games and Computer Entertainment. I was all about those trips, those monthly trips to the newsstand. I was all about that.
Well, to quote Christian Bale, Chico, oh, good for you!
Okay, but yeah, during the interesting we mentioned Game Pro and Game Players, because during the first season of Video Power, they were the supplier of much of the content, much of the news content of the video game news magazine. But you can't really fill 30 minutes, at least Alan J. Bobot and Haim Saban couldn't fill 30 minutes worth of syndication time to a video game news magazine. Because each show had 4 segments.
Yeah, and of
4
course,
segments.
yeah, and this is daily syndication too.
Yeah.
You can't really. It's not like you had the internet back then to constantly update you on video game news.
Yeah. It's not like it's blowing up your phone or nothing. I mean, the best you could do is, the Hot Hints line, and yes, we will be covering that in a future episode.
Hey, Hot Hints is fast and fun, and it's $1.65 a minute. With that guy that looks like Ace from the Ambiguously Gay Duo.
Yep.
Oh, gosh. Yes. Oh, stop it.
By the way, yeah, we'll be talking about that in a future entry. But yeah, the 4 segments of your typical episode of Video Power. The first 3 clock in about 10 to 12 minutes, and they are Video Power Reviews, which reviews a video game that came out within the year or so that the show was taped. The Video Power Preview, which was a game that was due out soon. The Video Power Edge, which was a rapid fire sort of montage of hints, tricks, and Easter eggs, which would help you become master of the game. Actually, let me stop there, because I want to bring something up.
Okay.
Video Power was co-produced by Bobot Entertainment, Saban Entertainment, and Acclaim Entertainment. This is going to become relevant later, by the way.
And of course, I should mention Acclaim Entertainment was based out where I live in Long Island. Well, necessarily Nassau County, since I'm in Suffolk, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Anyway, the fact that Acclaim Entertainment would have produced this is going to become relative in a few moments. But what was the slogan for Acclaim Entertainment? Masters of the Game. which they did not use anywhere in the actual TV show. It's a wasted opportunity to market there. What can I say?
Yeah, come on, Acclaim.
But now, come on. Acclaim did more than enough subtle marketing in the same way that cartoons back in the 80s sold action figures, like Transformers and GoBots and Mask. Future Installment Mask, the cartoon series back in 85. But, yeah, I mean, it's sort of serving the same purpose as cartoons to pitch their products.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Mommy, I saw this on Video Power. I want it.
Yep. Anyway, then there was aside from, like, the sort of wayward interview, I remember there was, like, a birthday party for Johnny Arcade, which took up, like, the second half of the show on one episode. And there was one episode with Blaze and Ice from the American Gladiators that took up a second half of the episode.
Woo!
Like I said, just not just a video game TV show, a video game news magazine. Basically, the video game version of Inside Edition. But to break up the monotony, there was a fourth installment of Video Power. And it was in the middle of the show to fill about another 10 to 12 minutes. This served as sort of the comic book interlude of the video game news magazine. The Power Team.
Oh, no.
Mike is already gone.
I'm almost broken.
He's completely checked out of this segment, folks.
Yeah.
I mentioned to Greg and Chico before the episode. I told them I watched this a couple of days ago to prepare for the show. And in the cartoon segment, I did not last more than 10 seconds. I lasted longer watching Manimal. I lasted longer watching almost anything. I think everything else that we've covered. 10 seconds, it broke me. I threw my hands up in the air and said, "Nope, screw this. I'm going to rely on Greg and Chico. This is horrible."
Hey, Mike, at least you lasted longer watching Video Power than I did watching Whitney.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
But that's another episode.
Hopefully not till much later.
So anyhow, about our Power Team.
Yeah, the Power Team was made up of an animated version of Johnny Arcade, acting as the major domo to 5 video game characters from video games that were licensed and published by Acclaim. Not necessarily.
Huh?
Not necessarily.
Acclaim? Huh?
Thank you, Tom Poston.
I told you that was going to be relevant. But yeah, they were not developed by Acclaim. They were only published by Acclaim.
Yes, that's the common theme.
It's like Defenders of the Earth, future installments, only using characters created by King Features Syndicate. Only they're using characters published by Acclaim. Those characters are the field leader, Max Force from Narc, which was an arcade game by Williams, ported to the NES by Rare.
Winners don't do drugs.
Winners don't do drugs. It's 1990, bitches.
R.I.P. William Sessoms.
Mm-hmm. And then you have Koros. It didn't look like the character in the game. He looked more like Fabio, because that was the guy on the box.
Yeah, they couldn't afford the licensing rights for Fabio.
So,
I always wish there was like an episode where the guy from Wizards and Warriors gets on a roller coaster and gets his nose hit by a goose.
True story!
Oh, no.
Wizards and Warriors, that was originally developed by Rare. Tyrone from Arch Rivals, which was originally developed, as you know, by Midway.
Yep, and the predecessor to NBA Jam.
Mm-hmm.
And probably the best game out of these 5 games, to be totally honest.
Oh, definitely.
Which isn't saying much.
But Arch Rivals, at least you have that referee who kind of looks like Larry Bud Melman.
Yes. And then there was the sort of the comic relief of the group, Quirk the Chilled Tomato.
From the Game Boy game of the same name.
Which was actually a Japanese game called Puzzle Boy, developed by Atlas.
And I liked Quirk better when it was called Boxel for the Game Boy.
I don't know what Boxel is.
It's very much like Quirk. We'll cover it on our spin-off podcast. It was a thing at the home arcade.
Yeah, and for the record, Boxel and Quirk, 2 different games. One was by Atlas, the other was by IREM.
One was good. One was good. The other was called Quirk.
Hey,
my bad. It was not by IREM. It was by FCI. It was by Fuji.
Hey, none of those games are better than Cat Rap. Cat Rap is the best.
That one's a good one. I'll give you credit.
I like Cat Rap.
Yes.
My mom
Cat Rap.
My mom got that for me as a blind buy like one Christmas, and that's like one of my favorite Game Boy games ever.
Cat Trap is awesome.
It
and
is.
Okay.
And the 5th member of the power team, and the 6th member of the power team was their mode of transportation, Bigfoot.
Bigfoot?
From Bigfoot.
Oh my God. Acclaim must have been really wanting to shill out the money just to get Bigfoot for this cartoon.
Oh yeah.
And that's probably
or
why
maybe they got the license when they developed the video game. You never know.
Maybe.
Well, that's probably why Acclaim's out of business now.
Oh boy. Actually, Bigfoot was developed by Beam Software. I believe that's out of business too.
Oh yeah, Beam Software. Didn't they publish that terrible Back to the Future NES game for LJN?
Yes, they did. Fun fact, LJN and Acclaim were sort of in cahoots with each other to try and get around the NES 5 games per calendar year, son.
Yeah, because Acclaim bought LJN in like 89.
Yeah. So they had all these shell companies that get around that stuff.
Yeah, similar like Konami with Ultra and...
Yeah. So, in so much of the spirit of another show that aired in that time frame, Captain and the Game Master, you had let's talk about Captain and the Game Master because the main story of that game was a real person is pulled into the world of video games.
Yes.
The power team is video game characters pulled into the real world. They don't ever mention how that happened.
No, they just show up.
They just show up.
It's not like magic or anything.
Well, if you look at the opening of the power team, that's pretty much the closest thing we're going to get to exposition. Is okay. Johnny Arcade is playing Quirk, Narc, Arch Rivals, Wizards and Warriors, and Bigfoot, and all of the characters jump out of his TV screen.
Well, if Bigfoot jumped out of his TV screen, wouldn't the house be like a mess?
Oh yeah. Again,
and really, since Quirk was a Game Boy game, wouldn't he be like really small because of the small Game Boy screen?
Interesting thing. They used the Game Boy graphics in the opening of the Power Team, but they displayed it on a television set.
Yeah, because the Super Game Boy is not until 94.
Right, yeah, that doesn't come along until the Super NES.
Maybe he had like some developer kit or something.
Interesting thing, they were actually working on something that will make you play NES games or Game Boy games on the NES, but it never got out of development.
I'm sure like a Retrobit or one of those companies today could make one.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
absolutely. Well, I do believe that Retron, they did create a console where you can play NES, Genesis, SNES, Game Boy.
Yes,
I know
they
there's
do.
one you can definitely play Game Boy on.
The Retron 5 by Hyperkin. I know that.
Yeah. I thought about getting back when Second and Charles was trying to move all this stuff. I thought about it. I never really. I haven't thought about it since I thought about it. If that makes any sense.
So the cartoon.
So the cartoon has these 6 characters, related by no other fact that they're on video games, published by Acclaim, trying to fight the forces of evil led by Mr. Big from Narc, which showed up on like 85-90% of the episodes that aired.
Yeah, Mr. Big was like the main baddie of the series.
Mm-hmm.
And Mike is drinking and he doesn't give a shit about any of this.
Yeah.
I told you I lasted 10 seconds.
There you go. And the thing of it, and the crux of Mr. Big's plans was he was going to, just specialize in all this sort of crime, and if the power team got in his way, he holds up 5 game cartridges, supposedly gates to send the power team back to their respective video games, which he never uses. What the hell?
Yeah, what a terrible villain this Mr. Big is.
It's like, I'm gonna send you back to your game world, but he never does.
See, the problem is they're all from Acclaim games. That's why.
Yep.
Yeah, send them back to the video game dimension. You lose the cartoon. Oh, but that's coming up.
Yeah. Other people from the respective power teams' video games show up as well. For example, Malkill, who is in the Wizards and Warriors franchise. He shows up, and the episodes where Malkill shows up usually center around Kuros trying to find the elementals from wherever that will sort of destroy Malkill in whatever form he's taking in that particular episode. And Mike is still drinking. Okay.
It's not alcohol, unfortunately.
Okay.
That'll be later.
That's yeah. And then there's some other sort of what were there? Other sort of characters aside from Mr. Big and his goons and Malkill. We also have Rowdy Roddy Radish, which would be Quirk's enemy.
Oh wow, real original Rowdy Roddy Radish.
Yeah.
They couldn't
Did he wear a kilt?
Yeah. They couldn't even get Roddy Piper to voice this.
No, they could not. And they also had Burnt Rubber, which was sort of an evil android paralogue to Bigfoot. And I'm sure there was an arch rival to Tyrone that showed up once, but I can't find him.
It would have been really hilarious if they got the referee who looked like Larry Bud Melman to show up in Video Power, and he was voiced by Larry Bud Melman. Missed opportunity there at Acclaim and Saban.
Yep. And again, this is from Truth by Consensus Wikipedia. One time, Malkill transported the team members to the Gothic land of Sindarin, Kuros' native land. The team learned to work without Johnny's leadership and survived in the medieval realm. While Kuros was glad to be home, he explained that he must return to the real world, as the goal of the power team was to keep villains like Malkill and Mr. Big from ever invading and allow each team member to return to their worlds in peace, thus explaining the rationale of the series.
Also, I should add that the aforementioned Rowdy Roddy Radish was not actually in the Quark video game. That character was actually made for the cartoon itself, as well as another character, supposedly from the Quark world, Patricia Parsnip.
Everybody knows that the damsel in distress in Quirk was Tammy.
Plus, also in Quark, there were no real enemies in the game because Quark was a puzzle game you played solo. So Rowdy Roddy Radish and Patricia Parsnip were not part of the Quark video game canon.
Nope.
There's a Quark video game canon.
I just made it. It's Quark. That's it. That's the list.
But yeah, there were 26 episodes of the Power Team made to run over 33 episodes of Season 1 of Video Power. Which didn't really make much sense. I mean, if you have like so many episodes, and this is a part of your show, you're going to want as many episodes as you can. But again, this is Video Power we're talking about. Now, at the end of the first season, the Power Team was spun off into their own series, independent of Video Power. And 2 episodes would fill half an hour, so you'd have 13 weekly episodes. But what happens to the mothership? Well, 3 things happened during the time Video Power aired. 1, the Wizard.
Yes.
It was, to some, a cult classic and our generation's version of The Who's Tommy.
Hey! Look what I'm holding right here. I'm holding the Wizard Shout Select Blu-ray right here.
Nice. Craig has a copy of The Wizard
on Blu-ray.
On Blu-ray
from Shout Factory.
A 100-minute commercial for Super Mario Brothers 3.
Exactly. That's what it was. Exactly. And the thing is, Super Mario Brothers 3 hadn't been released in the U.S. at that time, so it was just a giant mind game.
Yeah, there was a reason for that because back in those days there was a shortage on microchips.
Yes.
Yes, there was.
And of course, we can't forget the Wizard starred Fred Savage, and of course, playing Little Jimmy was Luke Edwards, who would later go on to be in the classic 1994 movie Little Big League, which we'll cover on It Was a Thing at the Movies, and playing his mom was the future mother of Mets first-round draft pick this year, Pete Crow Armstrong. I just wanted to mention that.
Do you feel better now, Greg?
Oh, yeah, I definitely feel much, much better that I mentioned that Pete Crow Armstrong's mom was the mom in Little Big League.
Awesome.
And, of course, with the Wizard, you also had the 1990 Nintendo World Championships.
That would be number 2 thing that happened. The 1990 Nintendo World Championships, which toured all across the country to find the best gamer in America to face the best gamer in Japan to see who would be the best gamer in the world. And of course, we all know who took the 12 to 17 category, the legendary gamer by the name of Thor Ackerland. Aaron Schroeder won the under 11, and Robert Whiteman won the over 18 title.
And of course, there were 3 games in that pile in Nintendo World Championships. You had your Super Mario, you had your Rad Racer, and you had your Tetris.
Yes. And you had to achieve a cumulative high score across all those games with a total time of 6 minutes and 21 seconds. That doesn't make any sense to me either. But
no.
one of the hosts of those championships we will talk about momentarily.
Yes.
But we're getting ahead of ourselves. The third thing that happened, and Mike talked about it earlier, GamePro TV. Kelly News and Entertainment and J.D. Roth creating a better product weekly better product, and it just, yeah. We've already said what we need to say about GamePro TV. It was awesome.
It was.
It was legitimately must-see TV for video gamers back in the day.
It was. So you put all those things together, and video power, it went through the change.
Yeah. And this is the video power that we mostly know.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say know and love, but we mostly know.
Yes. Season 2, Video Power, the game show. Now, like Season 1, the show had the Video Power Edge, which was a rapid cut of tips and Easter eggs and whatnot. But then you had one of the hosts of the Nintendo World Championships, Terry Lee Torek.
Yes.
Putting Johnny on the spot with 4 people trying to pepper him with video game trivia.
And mostly failing.
And mostly failing. But the ones who'd succeeded got a copy of whatever game Johnny pulled.
Yeah.
From wherever.
Yeah, they would. Your Bad News Baseball for NES from Tecmo. I don't know.
Yeah. Again, it was 1990. 50% of all Nintendo games were shovelware, basically.
Bad News Baseball is not a bad game.
Yeah. So those 4 people who were called on by Terry, they were invited to play in that episode's show. Now this was Monday through Thursday.
Yes. So the way it would be is it would usually be like either 2 games that they would play, or there'd be 1 game the entire week.
Yeah, they did have theme weeks like Batman Week and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Week and Battletoads Week.
And they did a WrestleMania Challenge Week. It's WrestleMania Challenge. At least it's better than WrestleMania on NES.
True. By the way, Super WrestleMania, that was the bomb. Just saying.
No. Royal Rumble on Super Nintendo was the bomb.
Yeah.
Because at least you could play as Ric Flair in it. Just saying.
Mm-hmm. So the 4 players, they come on down and play the first game. They were given 2 minutes and 2 seconds to score as high as they could.
Though on some shows it did vary. On some shows it was a minute and a second, and on others it was a minute and 41 seconds. And I'm guessing that's because maybe the shows ran long previously. Who knows? But
yeah.
Just the whole minute and a second, 2 minutes and 2 seconds, I don't get that.
Okay, so the 2 minutes and 2 segments part in the first game. So the top 2 scorers would go on and play a trivia round. And so there'd be 3 questions worth 10 points. There was a 4th question, I think, worth 20 points. And then there was a 5th question, usually like for a prize or something, like a game or something. And it would usually be like, what's this game on this screen? And if you guessed it right, you won the prize. Or like, what's this tune from this game from? Or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I found it interesting during the quiz. Now, the players were wearing Velcro vests. And if
they're called power vests.
Yes, they're wearing power vests. Yeah, because it's video power.
And power helmets.
And so for the questions, the 10-point questions earned them a slice of pizza with the number 10 on it.
Yes.
And the 20-point question was worth a mushroom with 20 on it. Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of interesting. Maybe there's a little video game tie here because pizza was the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles thing, and the mushroom was obviously Mario's thing.
Yeah.
It was a wacky little crackpot theory, but it makes a little bit of sense maybe, but also at the same time, since this is a claim, I don't think you're going to be promoting a lot of Mario.
I don't know. On the pilot of Video Power, they did have tips for Super Mario Brothers 3. So,
Okay, so the two contestants would play a final round for 1 minute and 1 second, and whoever had the best score won 50 star points and the game.
now if there was a tie at the end, then the tie would be broken by whoever scored the highest on the first round.
Oh, so if you were like in second place, and the other contestant got 50 points, you're basically screwed right there.
Yeah,
Why couldn't you just do a tiebreaker question?
because that would take too much time. I don't
Right.
know. So the winning player gets to go to, for lack of a better phrase, the prize mall,
Yeah.
which
That's what they
was
referred to it on the show, yeah.
oh they did oh I remember that. Yeah, I know rememberies. Anyway, they go to the prize mall, which was this sort of 1.5-story video game vault, which had just 2 walls of video games. And they gave you 41 seconds, although they started at 30 and eventually tacked on an extra 11 seconds somewhere down the line, to collect as many games as you could within that time, and then rush headfirst down a tube slide. Because if you were a nerd, if you didn't have a video game system in 1990s, you were an outcast if you didn't have a tube slide.
Oh, you damn right.
Now, technically, a player did not win the round if they did not exit the maze before time expired, but often they just said, you know what, screw the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's better to make the kid happy than have the kid crying on camera.
Now, there was also a secret game in the prize vault, and they would tell them where it was, but they would not tell them what the game was.
Oh no, there's some episodes where they tell you what the game is.
Yeah.
There was one, I was watching a couple episodes and they would say, okay, here's the game. They wouldn't say where it's at. They'd say, here's the game you're looking for. And yeah, so maybe that's another thing that changed over time is they went from the name of the video game to, okay, look for this. And they actually show the package art or actually the box to, okay, the secret game is in this area. And then, of course, what's the kid going to do? He or she's going to hoard all the video games in that area to ensure that they won the Konica camera or whatever the secret prize of the day was.
Right. But lest you think that was all they won, was whatever games they found, and a secret prize for the secret prize game. All of the winners from Monday through Thursday came back for the Friday final to compete for an even bigger prize, I guess.
Well, the thing was, the Friday winners at the end of the season would all meet in like a super tournament at the end of the season.
Yeah, and like the super tournament would be played for a Super NES, a trophy, a trip to Universal Studios Hollywood, and a $10,000 scholarship.
Dang.
I made $10,000 and all I had to do was score the most in Double Dragon. Yeah!
Didn't the Friday winners get like the miracle piano?
I believe so.
Yeah. That's exactly.
I know there were some Friday winners who won a Neo Geo.
Oh yeah,
finding the games for it.
Oh yeah, congratulations on buying this $1,000 system. Good luck trying to get games for it.
And if you can find games, they're going to run you like $300 a piece.
Yeah.
We should mention that the video games inside the mall, they weren't really the best of games.
No.
We saw titles like, and this is maybe the best title of them all, sadly, Classic Concentration. Oh my gosh. They must have had like 100 copies of Classic Concentration they had to get rid of. And Heavy Shredding was another one that came up fairly regularly.
Ultimate Exodus was a fan favorite.
Yeah.
Ultimate Exodus.
Yeah, I remember Bad News Baseball. I remember like Jackie Chan, the Jackie Chan game on NES, which, by the way, at my local retro gaming store, you know how much a copy of the Jackie Chan game on NES is worth?
$2.99.
No. Okay. $64.99.
Are you kidding me?
No. If you got like 3 copies of that back in 1991 in the bonus round of Video Power, you might as well be sitting on a gold mine in 2020.
Wow.
Yeah, so the games weren't the best necessarily. You didn't see any sort of video games like Super Mario 3 or really popular video games. I mean, you didn't really see anything in the Nintendo family of video games. It was primarily, like I said, Acclaim and other like third parties that just the games like totally sucked.
Yeah, it was like your Tecmos, your Game Techs.
But Tecmo Bowl was very popular back in the day. That was not a bad game.
Oh no, I'm not saying that at all.
But yeah, I mean, some of the Game Tech games were not the best. Hey, Double Dare.
Mm-hmm. And interestingly enough, Season 2 lasted for 50 episodes, which is, 17 more than Season 1?
Yeah, but it's only still 10 weeks of fresh material.
Yeah. So. And, man, Heavy Shredding. Man, I didn't even know the existence of that until that show.
I didn't know I physically blocked that from my memory until I had to look at it for this show.
And I had no idea that that's an extremely common game on the NES.
Well, Chico, you better unblock it from your mind because it's time for eBay Price is Right!
Oh, no.
Oh, yes! Chico, you're going to play this solo. We're going to do a clock game style.
Okay.
Because I've already shown Greg this, and Greg got this item like in 29.9 seconds. He barely beat the clock.
Okay. Yes, it did.
So what's up for bids today? This sold about 2 weeks ago on eBay. It is a factory sealed copy of Heavy Shredding. And it has been graded. It's in a plastic box, graded an 8.0/B+ in terms of quality, in terms of, almost like a baseball card. Are there creases or how's the corners and stuff like that? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to do this clock game style. I'm going to give you 30 seconds, and I want you to get the price of this on the nose. Ready?
All right. Question. Is this in whole dollars or dollars?
I'm trying to determine how mean I want to be. Well, I think that answers the question. I could have just said dollars and cents, but it's whole dollars, which is going to make your life a lot easier, I think. But regardless,
okay.
I'll give you that whole dollars. Okay.
Okay.
All right. On your mark, get set, go.
$50.
Higher.
$75.
Higher.
$150.
Higher.
$250.
Higher.
$500.
Lower.
$400.
Lower.
$300.
Higher.
$350.
Higher.
$360.
Higher.
$370.
Higher.
$380.
Oh, he got it with 3 seconds left. He beat Greg by a hair.
Beat Greg. I beat Greg.
25.84.
$380 for a factory sealed graded copy of Heavy Shredding. And I don't remember what Greg said, but it's essentially, who the hell would pay that type of money for that video game, even in that condition?
Well, Mike, you're going to get ready for this.
Uh-oh.
Are we having a? Is it two for Monday?
Yes. Here we go. You guys are bidding on a Nintendo NES lot of 5 boxed NES games. And they include Heavy Shreddin', Vegas Dream, Pipe Dream, The Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle, the Angry Video Game Nerd's favorite, and Anticipation. So you were bidding on the buy it now price.
Okay, now you said these are with box. Are they sealed or have they been opened?
Let me look. It looks like they have been opened. Some of these games are sealed, I think, but a few of these are opened.
Okay.
So I will start the bidding with Mike.
Okay. None of those are particularly rare games, and just from experience, I have 2 copies of Pipe Dream for the NES, and neither of them work for whatever reason. And they're the only 2 NES games that I have that don't work. They're both Pipe Dream, so figure that one out. I still think people would bid, I'll say, oh gosh, if they're still sealed, they might have a little more value. I'll say $49.
Chico, your bid.
My bid for that lot, I'm going to go 60.
The buy it now price for the Nintendo NES lot of 5 games of Anticipation, Heavy Shreddin', Pipe Dream, Bugs Bunny Crazy Castle, and Anticipation. Guys, get ready for this price.
Oh no, this is going to be bad.
$140! Chico wins! Yes!
No!
Who's
Yes!
going to pay that much money just to play Anticipation, I ask you?
Guess what? Also, no interest if paid in full in 6 months on $99 plus.
Oh, no interest. Well,
You said a mouthful, Greg.
Yeah, in 6 months you'll have no interest playing these video games.
And you get a 1-year protection plan on these games from Square Trade for $14.99 if you want.
Okay, now that you say that, I have my box of NES stuff right here next to me. I mentioned I have a couple of these games. I want to see what I paid for them because some of these still have the original sticker on them.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
Okay, hold on a second. Okay, Pipe Dream, $5. The second copy of Pipe Dream was $2.99. And we said Anticipation.
Anticipation.
Okay,
It's a board game. It's a game show.
Anticipation doesn't have the price tag on it. But still, as I mentioned, 2 copies of Pipe Dream, $5 and $3. Neither of them work. So I wouldn't spend a friggin' penny on Pipe Dream, given I've had 2 that don't even work.
Did you see what I did with Anticipation?
Yes, I did.
Yes, I saw.
Did that come with the bottle of ketchup there, Greg?
Hey, I like mine with a twist.
Jeez.
So Anticipation. So it's like Anticipation. That's another one it was a thing on the NES.
It was still better than Win, Lose, or Draw on the NES.
But guys,
that's hard.
But guys, you're probably wondering, probably thinking to yourself, whatever became of young Johnny Arcade? Well, guys, he grew up one day to become Pat the NES Punk, and now you know the rest of the story.
Oh, boy. Seriously, though, I believe Stevie Piskoski is still working to this day. Remember, he was only 16, 17 when he was hosting Video Power.
Yes. So he'd be like, what, 47 now?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he'd be younger than that. If he was 15 in 1990, he'd be my age, 45.
Yep. In fact, if you watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. in 2017, he was a lead SBR agent. And if you are a fan of For Life, he was on 2 episodes during the show's first season.
Hey, it's not For Life. It's not NWO For Life.
We talked about Stevie Paskowski and Terry Lee Torak as the kind of sort of co-hosts for the second season of Video Power.
Yes.
There's one name we forgot.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. I know who you're talking about.
The music, right?
The band leader, Steve Tracassi.
Who you might better know from Remote Control. And if you listen to the sound effects, the piano sound effects he does on his keyboard, it sounds like it was lifted directly from Remote Control.
Oh,
as soon as I heard it, without even looking at the credits or without even looking at the video, I'm like, holy crap. That is Steve Tracassi from Remote Control. There's nobody who does that. It sounds like him. So there's an added little perk with season 2. They did get a good musician, a good house band kind of, sort of.
Oh, yes.
Well, before we go, again, doing the occasional research that we do on the show, I came across somebody's kind of sort of blog entry about his experiences on Video Power back in the second season, obviously the game show part. And oh boy, this is a read. I think I'm gonna have to include this like in the informational part of the podcast, because this really is very interesting. So back in summer of 1991, the writer of this saw an ad for the tryouts for a video game TV show, which ended up being Video Power. And he just thought it would be the coolest thing to be on Video Power. And his thinking was, if he won big prizes in video games on a TV show, he'd be like the coolest person in the world. He'd be the most popular person in school because, again, remember, having an NES or having video games back in 1990, it held some serious leverage.
Oh, yeah. I could attest to this.
Yes, it was not unlike having an Atari back in the early 80s. If you had one of those systems, you're everybody's friend. If you had the newest system, you're everybody's friend and everybody's mother's friend. They loved you if you had the newest thing. And I even remember back in like 85 going absolutely gaga over the Atari 5200, and I know Greg thinks I'm an absolute loon over that.
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You know what? I could picture in 1990 a young Mike Klaus going up to some lady. He wanted to slow dance to a Boyz II Men song and say, "Hey, baby, I just got the Adventure of Link the other day. You want to play?"
And then she says, "Is that a Game Boy in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me?"
Oh.
And I pull out the Game Boy. Yeah, I'm playing Quirk, bitch. Yeah. So anyhow,
fun fact: he still has the copy of Quirk.
No. The copy of Quirk I found 10 years ago at a video game store, a little local place, just doing some day tripping in this area, looking for video games, and I've never seen or heard of Quirk before. That looks interesting with the tomato on the case. It was $2.99.
Anyway.
Well, anyhow, I still have it. It still works.
Anyway, back to
and I'm $2.99 poorer because of it.
Anyway,
so anyhow, getting back to this person's experiences with the TV show. So what ended up happening is he got on the show, and he was essentially the best player of the 4 on the show. He mentions that one of the contestants he played against was, and this is said with all due respect, not being derogatory or anything, a female who had very few, if any, video game skills. It looked like she was playing a video game for the first time. And so he ended up beating his competition that day and made it to the mall, and ended up on the Friday show where he Didn't happen to win. But he just mentioned about the cluelessness of his players, because one of the games that was played that day was Tecmo Bowl. And so they didn't have any sort of limits on what team you could play. So the thing is, if you wanted to do Bo Jackson in Tecmo Bowl, gosh knows what Bo Jackson does in Tecmo Bowl. He just like rifle stomps over the competition. So he played the New York Giants, who at the time were world champions, remember, because this is Super Bowl 25, or just after Super Bowl 25, I should say. So he just like racked up the wins playing the Giants, while everybody else played like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers or the New England Patriots, who sucked at the time, or at least weren't as good as they were nowadays. But so he just rolled over the competition in the first round. Ended up getting some really bad video games. Little Ninja Brothers, which he says must have had 30 copies in the maze, making it impossible not to win at least one copy.
I'm going to tell you right now, Little Ninja Brothers was the shit back in the day, okay?
You could have had yourself 30 copies of it, because there were about 30 copies in the maze, he says. And he also mentions that there's like no parity in terms of the prizes, because he mentions that the big prize of the day could have been a Game Boy, which would have been probably about $100 back in the day, all the way up to a Neo Geo system, which we mentioned went for mucho dinero. So then he got to the Friday episode. He didn't get past the Friday episode, and he thought he was going to be the king of the school. Well, guess what? It was anything but that. People at school were making fun of him, talking about basically being a video game geek and staying very derogatory.
This was back when nobody got paid to play video games competitively.
This was long before Twitch.
Yeah,
but not just that. The comments were the type of derogatory comments you'd hear from people who were in their tweens to early teen years, using certain terms that would be homophobic slurs nowadays. Let's say that. I think you may know where I'm going with that. Gosh, I hope you do. So yeah, he had dreams of being big man on campus, and he just got relentlessly teased by the people at school. You're the geek who was on the game show, and you won 40 copies of Little Ninja Brothers, or whatever it's called. Yeah, Ninja Brothers.
I won 40 copies of Little Ninja Brothers. You play your cards right, you may be going home with one of them. So, mess around and find out. Mess around and find out.
You got 10 copies of Jackie Chan on NES. It's not like that game's going to be worth $65 one day in 30 years.
So I just wanted to share that little anecdote. Look back at this person's video power experience. Now I think we can give the show a proper close, Chico.
Yeah. I'll tell you right now, Video Power started life as a video game news magazine, ended life as a video game news magazine / game show. What can I say except it was not a thing on TV? It was two things on TV.
Wow!
And after I'm through with yous guys, I'm gonna find that little tomato quirk.
Hey! It's tomatoes, you jerk! Tomatoes!
Video Power, it was a game show, it was a cartoon, maybe a floor wax. I'm sure if it lasted long enough, it might have been a floor wax or dessert topping. Alright, so let's talk about what's going on Place to Be Nation Pop right now. In the 5th installment of the Pop Goes the Classic series, looking at Disney animated features, Andy Afferton, Miranda Berthold, and Steve Riddle looked at 1942's Bambi. They discussed the many aspects of the film, including the beautifully animated forest, the usage of music to tell the story while the dialogue is minimal, the friendship between Bambi, Thumper, and Flower, the danger of the meadow, the death of Bambi's mom, getting Twitter-pated, the similarities that we'll see in later Disney movies, and the film's enduring legacy. And in the latest episode of Diamond Conversations, Simon Rosenbaum Larson is a current minor leaguer in the Tampa Bay Rays organization. In 2019, Simon went 2-3 with a 3.13 ERA, 8 saves, and 74 strikeouts for the Charlotte Stonecrabs of the High A Florida State League. Before getting drafted in 2018 by the Rays, Simon pitched for the Harvard Crimson baseball team at Harvard University for 3 seasons. Simon is also the president and director of player personnel for More Than Baseball. More Than Baseball provides a diverse group of services to minor league players and their families and works to improve the economic and working conditions at the minor league level. Also, be sure to check out the PTBN Wrestling feed, which includes a dive into topics running the gamut from the day's WWE through yesteryear. The feed includes the Place to Be podcast, main event, Jenny and the Gems, Body Pressure Lock, PTB NXT, NWA Saturday Special, so much more. Subscribe today. And while you're at it, subscribe to Jennifer Smith's The Jenny Position feed as well. This is the home of Geek and Sassy, Talking Pop, Freak Out Drive-In, The Journey Through Infinity, Telling Stories, and more. And also check out the North-South Connection brought to you by JT Rizzero, Chad Campbell, and Aaron George. It is the home for Wrestling Warzone, No Holds Barred, The Extreme 3A Dance, The Ruthlessly Aggressive Podcast, Carolina Dreaming, Jeff Learns Wrestling, and more. And on our social media pages, we got the greatest song from the movie tournament going on. You can keep tabs on the tournament Facebook page for details. And we have our 2020 stretch project, of course, going on. That determines the greatest WCW match ever. You have until the end of the year to do research, promote matches, and build the list. Conversation rules can be found at www.facebook.com/GWCW matches or on the Pro Wrestling Only message board. And be sure not to forget to check out PTPN at PlaceToBeNation.com each and every day. We have new voices and fresh takes, bring you articles on topics in the worlds of wrestling, sports, and pop culture. It includes Trent's SmackDown on Fox Report, This Week in the WWE by John Crow, Steve Riddle's Wonderful World of Disney Reviews, Paulie's Perspective, Matt's live-action Disney movie reviews, and Ben's Unpopular Opinion. And don't forget about veteran columns like Glenn Butler's Wednesday Walk Around the Web. And if you're doing online shopping at Amazon, be sure to click on the Amazon banner on the right side of the Place to Be Nation homepage, or use www.placetobenation.com/Amazon, and it'll take you right to Amazon, and it'll help out P2BN at no cost to you. Okay, guys, we are going to episode 76, and boy, this is gonna be a long one. And if you survive this show, oh boy, you should get an award for trying to survive this show. This is certainly one of the most unusual shows that we've ever talked about on this podcast. And it is the 2007 to 2009 Adult Swim cartoon, Xavier, Renegade Angel. So let's step into a journey in a world that you'll never know, as we explore the wandering adventures of Xavier, Renegade Angel. Episode 76, Submission 1551, Xavier, Renegade Angel. Xavier, Renegade Angel aired on Adult Swim for 2 seasons from November 4th, 2007 to April 16th, 2009 for a total of 20 episodes. Well, guys, we'd be spoiling it for later, but this came to my attention in the last month. And as Mike said a couple episodes ago, when there was an opening on the schedule, I said, we need to go straight ahead and do an episode about this. And Mike is holding his head. He doesn't know what he's unleashed.
Instant regrets.
Oh, instant regrets. This is going to be probably for him, like, even more torturous than Manimal.
Not possible.
No, this isn't going to be torturous. It's just, this is maybe the most bizarre show we're going to cover. Not the most bizarre show yet, but maybe the most bizarre show in the history of this podcast. Ever.
Yes. And I will say this. This show, Xavier, Renegade Angel, you watch Adult Swim today with, like, your Rick and Mortys and the like, your Eric Andres, your Tim and Erics. You could say this was kind of like the forefather of what Adult Swim would turn out to be.
I'd take it even a step further. It's on the same level of bizarreness as Aqua Teen Hunger Force, but then it gets, like, amped up by several magnitudes.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Aqua Teen Hunger Force is a bizarre but very funny show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the humor gets lost on people if they're not, let's say, really tired or very, or if they're not high on medications.
Impaired.
More or less, yes. This show is just bizarre without even, like, the humor of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, without, like, any sort of medicinal assistance. This really is a show that it's the most bizarre show I've seen yet. And as I said to Greg and Chico, I actually lasted like 5 or 6 episodes of this. I actually committed to the cause watching some episodes of this. Sometimes it's the most bizarre show on TV, but then also at some points I'm watching, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like one of the most mind-blowingly, most amazing things I've ever heard. So it's bizarre, but also in some form, it's genius.
Yeah, to describe this, you have to pay attention to everything that is going on in the episode. And this might require you to watch it maybe like multiple times to understand everything that is going on.
There's like several things going on all at the same time.
Yeah, and there's stuff that you just gloss over at first, and then it comes back later and you're like, what? And you rewatch it later and it's like, oh, okay, I see what they were doing.
It's odd, but at the same time, it's brilliant. Recent example of this would be, I believe it was it was one of the episodes of Solar Opposites on Hulu, where you have to watch it twice. The episode was Corvo and Terry Steal a Bear. By the way, we will be covering that on a future installment of that, where the episode was Corvo and Terry Steal a Bear. But that's not exactly what happens on the episode. Not exactly. But I'm going to let you watch that yourself because it is actually worth watching.
Okay. So Xavier Renegade Angel comes from FAR, spelled PFFR, and it was created by Vernon Chapman and John Lee, who were the creators of MTV's Wonder Chosen, and they also produced At Home with Amy Sedaris on True TV.
Future installment, Wonder Chosen.
Yeah. I don't know if At Home with Amy Sedaris is going to be a future entry, but if you've ever seen that show, you kind of get like where some of the humor of this show comes from.
And the same applies to Wonder Chosen. Very bizarre show. You can definitely see some crossover in some of the jokes and stuff between Wonder Chosen and Xavier.
And another note I should mention, Vernon Chapman, the co-creator, is the voice of Xavier Renegade Angel. But he's also notable for voicing one notable animated character in the past, and that is the character of Tally from South Park.
Tally as in, wanna get high?
Yep.
Want to get high? Oh my gosh, my voice cracked there. I think a testicle just dropped.
Yeah.
Want to get high?
Yeah. You're probably wondering, what is this show, Xavier Renegade Angel, about? Well, the show follows the adventures of Xavier, a self-absorbed and oblivious fawn-like shaman wanderer with delusions of grandeur. Xavier is the main character of the program, often shown to be deeply insecure, near sociopathic, and a childlike individual who can quickly turn against others if interactions with them lead to negative feelings about himself. Xavier often brings total destruction to his environment and those around him in his attempts to right what he sees as wrong or help others with their problems, in many instances going as far as breaking reality itself. His physical appearance is equally absurd. He wears the shell of an isopod-like creature as an armband on his right arm. His left hand is a snake from the elbow downwards. It usually acts like an ordinary hand, but in the episodes The Six Teeth of Good Intentions and El Tornadoer, it appears to possess its own consciousness and speaks to Xavier directly. His knees bend at the joints backwards. He is covered in brown fur and has ocular heterochromia, having one brown eye and one blue, and instead of a nose, Xavier has a raptor-like beak, though he also has a mouth. He has 6 nipples and a giant eye in place of his genitalia. He typically wears tennis shoes and a loincloth embroidered with varying symbols. Xavier's purpose seems to change slightly with each episode, with the initial plot seeing him as a wandering philosopher, aspiring wise man, or sage of sorts, whose intent on hermetism seems to give reference to Native American vision quest. Of initial importance seems to be Xavier's drawn-out search for an answer to the abstract question, what doth life? Later on in the series, however, the original plot seems to alter slightly into a more personal and less transcendent search. Xavier announces his reasons for roaming the world as the means to which he can help others, his purpose being to improve the quality of human existence and, generally speaking, do good. Now, the 2 seasons of Xavier Renegade Angel follow kind of a narrative structure through the course of each season. In the first season, Xavier is trying to find who killed his father, while in the second season, he's attempting to find his mother. So we'll go over that over the course of the series. Also, occasionally, while Xavier's on his quest, we usually sometimes cut into flashbacks of his younger self with his master, the chief master guru, who is a supposedly indigenous shaman who took Xavier after he became orphaned and taught him mystical and spiritual practices, teaching him the power to heal others with the use of a fictional instrument called a shakashuri, which you see Xavier kind of toot with that. That's kind of what gives that musical like flute thing at the beginning of each episode.
The musical flute, of course, the musical flute thing.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. The shaman features frequently in his flashbacks, and despite Xavier's adulation, is shown to be abusive, sadistic, bullying, and cruel. He eventually fakes his own death at one point to get rid of Xavier, but it's later revealed that he gave Xavier the loincloth and the inspiration to help people in order to get rid of him. That's mean.
Are you the listeners confused yet?
Oh, you're gonna
Yes?
be. You're gonna be.
So am I. Don't worry.
You're gonna be after you hear me describe all these episodes. Oh my!
Told you
God.
this is going to be a bizarre one.
Oh, it's gonna be a bizarre one. Okay, guys, buckle up as I describe to you as I tried to describe to you every episode of this show. Episode 1: What Life doth. After some rednecks beat up Xavier, they come back loaded with computers with viruses, planning to dump them in a landfill. But when they do, the viruses from the computers infect the lake and town, and when Xavier notices, he tries to find a cure. So this episode starts, Xavier travels through Connecticut, where he's interrupted by 3 gang members who shatter his shakashuri. The gang members spit and beat the crap out of Xavier, where he urges the gang members to walk away with no success. Xavier goes to a computerized visitor center to ask what doth life as the computer fritzes out. Xavier encounters a woman as he tries to explain his life story, where he predictably got the crap kicked out of him as a kid and danced with a mannequin at his prom. He talks about how he was finding enlightenment in the bedroom when his house caught fire and how he couldn't save his parents while the woman next to him is sleeping during the telling of his entire life story. The gang members return, and as I mentioned, they're going to get a bunch of computers and infect them with a virus. Xavier gets a vision and tells the gang members to not sully Mother Earth with those computers and tells them to dump them in a lake where no one can see them. And predictably, the gang laughs and spits on him.
Sounds like the beginning of an It's Always Sunny episode.
Yeah, basically. Xavier then tells the woman about how he spent 9 years as the pupil to Chief Master Guru, and he flashes back to the story of how Chief Master Guru taught Xavier to play a wind trance as young Xavier gets a vision of him in the future with the woman as present-day Xavier and the lady turn to look at young Xavier in the vision. The lady then leaves to take a shower. Meanwhile, the gang is throwing the computers that have a virus into the lake, which causes the town to look like something out of the Money for Nothing video by Dire Straits. Xavier figures the only way to stop the computer virus is to get a human virus. So he gets a bottle of a virus. I won't say what it is because I don't want Mike to be like, oh, God. But he gets the virus, has one of the gang members drink the virus, and he starts glitching out. And eventually everything in the town turns into like a greenish, tronish world. So Xavier creates a new shakashuri out of the lady's arm to tame the virus, as the virus finds it soothing and relaxing, and the world is restored, and everything goes back to normal. And then at the end, Xavier takes the world in some kind of ball and plays hopscotch with it as he hitchhikes into a car on another quest. That's episode 1, folks.
Wow.
We got 19 more of these to go. Episode 2, Chief Beef Loco. Xavier steps in to replace a school mascot, and in doing so, earns the respect of a violent local Mexican gang, where he hopes to win over with the power of passion and emotional healing. So this episode begins with Xavier encountering an injured mosquito and helps it in the desert when the 2 people confront him and accuse him of bestiality. And what do you know? They beat him the crap out of Xavier while the mosquito sucks the blood out of the eye of one of the beaters and causes the other to punch himself. The mosquito then goes into Xavier's ear and lays its eggs inside of his ear when the mosquito dies. Xavier tries to give the mosquito CPR with no luck. Xavier then encounters a boy who had his mascot costume destroyed by a Mexican gang. So Xavier offers to be the mascot as himself, pretending to be the kid. So Xavier performs some sick dance moves at a basketball game, which are so good, it causes the opposing team to forfeit.
That must be some sick moves.
Oh, damn right it is. So the Mexican gang, thinking Xavier is the kid, apologizes to him and invites him to a meeting. Xavier, after seeing the gang symbol, gets a flashback to when he was with Chief Master Guru when he died, who had the same gang symbol, and Xavier swears to avenge his master's death. Xavier in the present encounters the boy, where he had hit him in a sewer, telling him everything went well at the game, but tells him to stay in the sewer for a bit so he can infiltrate the Mexican gang. So Xavier meets with the Mexican gang, where they tell him he needs to kill a pizza delivery guy who's arriving at their house. Xavier tells the pizza guy in front of the door that he's supposed to be dead, but gives him $20 to start a new life. Xavier brags to the gang that he killed him, but the delivery guy unfortunately comes back because he forgot to give the cocoa bread.
Wow.
However, the gang
I forgot to give him the cocoa bread, I'm sorry.
However, the gang is impressed with Xavier's spirit, and they nominate him for their Pauper to Prince program, where he becomes gang leader for a week. Xavier has the gang spray paint buildings white on Tag Tuesday, and makes the gang flush their drugs as soon as they get them to make sure they stay one step ahead of the cops. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Like the more I listen to this, I'm thinking to myself, is this a giant episode of It's Always Sunny?
Basically, it's like 10 episodes of It's Always Sunny in one episode. I mean, and then on Friday night, which is Taco Tuesday, Xavier has the gang talk about their feelings, where they all open up as they say they're out of the drug game forever. However, a drug dealer named Shiny is coming and wants his shipment, which has been flushed by the gang because of Xavier. So they all meet at the docks, and holy shit, guys. Shiny, he looks like the liquid metal T-1000 from T2 as he asks Xavier and the gang where the drugs are. Xavier says they're out of the game for good. Shiny offers Xavier a job with him, which Xavier regrets, and the gang sends an army of poodles to go after Shiny as they all form a poodle mecha person, which Shiny punches, and soon after, Shiny punches Xavier. Now, remember when I said the mosquito laid its eggs in Xavier's ear before he died?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Well, the mosquito eggs hatch, which form a mosquito mecha, which karate kicks the shit out of Shiny and throws him to a pit of molten lava like the end of Terminator 2.
So this episode was pretty much an homage to Terminator 2, then.
Kind of. The gang decides they can use Shiny's remains to start construction on a new hospital called the Loco Center for Emotional Connectedness and Poodle Hospital. Xavier offers to go on the date with the mosquito mecha, who rejects him for the kid as they make out, as Xavier wanders off to his next quest, as the Loco Center becomes self-aware and crushes everyone in the area.
Ah.
Yes. Episode 3. Weapons Grade Life. Xavier becomes the self-styled guardian angel of a young boy who is trying to impress his father. When the boy's success with science sets off Xavier's insecurities, he decides to become his quote-unquote guardian enemy instead. So Xavier at the start of this episode finds some kids at a school when he assumes two of the kids are picking on a kid in a wheelchair and assumes they'd never hang out with a kid with limp legs.
Ah.
And so the two kids, what do you guess? They beat the crap out of Xavier.
Of course.
The kid in the wheelchair apologizes to Xavier and takes him to his house where he's a Christian Scientist doctor, his father, and Xavier watches the kid's father perform an operation with magic. As Xavier investigates, he finds out that it turns out the kid in the wheelchair performed the operation with strings and magic. Xavier thinks it was ingenious, as the kid in the wheelchair says his father would be crushed if he found out he was using science to perform his dad's Christian Science. So Xavier goes to the kid's underground lair and sees his inventions like self-eating spreadable bread. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but wouldn't you love spreadable bread that's self-eating?
Self-eating spreadable bread. As in bread that eats itself.
Yes.
Did I not remind the listeners this is going to be a very bizarre show?
Yes. The kid in the wheelchair says his goal is to make life out of a petri dish out of chemicals. Xavier puts his finger in the dish and licks it. Xavier suggests the dish needs coconut, while the kid realizes his artificial coconut spread can create life. Xavier says it's not that impressive because one time he created a burrito, which is a burrito inside a burrito in the heart of a burrito.
So a burrito, which is a burrito, which is inside of a burrito, which is in the heart of a burrito.
Yes. What would be in the heart of a burrito? I guess a burrito.
My brain hurts.
Xavier says the kid is not better than him because he created life and says he's just as ugly on the inside as he is on the outside. So after Xavier walks out of the lair, we cut to the kid in the wheelchair in a cemetery by his mom's grave saying he's not going to be another Einstein. And next to his mom's grave is a tombstone with the kid's legs on it. Yeah. Xavier notices the kid's father is going into a bakery getting devil's food cakes, which he's hooked on. The dad asks the person at the counter what the secret is to the devil's food cakes, as the person at the counter says she fills each cake with a dozen devil's eggs. The dad says he'd swim through a lake full of water for these cakes because it's the only thing to put the fire in its belly out. Remember that for later. The woman at the counter notes it's an odd thing to say. Xavier encounters the dad and says he needs to see his son's lair. The dad sees the lair and is shocked by the lies as Xavier tells him he's playing the ultimate liar by playing God under his nose. Xavier then encounters the kid by letting him know that he told his dad about his lair, as his dad pours kerosene as the house blows up, causing a massive, never-ending explosion that keeps going and going, as Xavier says to the people that witnessing the explosion that it's alive, and they're making it angry. So the explosion then burns everyone in the town as Xavier tries to figure out how to stop the explosion when he remembers the conversation about the devil's food cakes and tries to take the explosion to a lake full of water by distracting it with a jeep full of devil's food cakes as he drives by asking everyone, does anyone know how to get to the lake? Xavier takes the explosion to the lake as the kid in the wheelchair tells the explosion that he created it, as Xavier says his father cursed God. The kid in the wheelchair says to the dad explosion that because he created God, he now believes in God because he believes in himself and wants to start over, as Xavier eats the devil's food cakes and says it's pretty good. The kid then fools the dad explosion by taking the cross he had and pulls a knife from under it, stabbing the explosion, apologizing to his dad, saying he can't let the army get hold of a powerful weapon and that he swore to his dead mom that he wouldn't be another Einstein. Xavier figures that at least he died with God in his heart as he eats its heart. Xavier goes to the kid who's crying by saying, it's tough to kill your dad, but at least his brain isn't as dumb as his legs. Xavier then goes to the grave of the Thorito to close out the episode.
Just occurred to me, you said devil's food cake a lot during that synopsis.
Yes. I told you that was going to be important. But oh my god, these next two episodes, oh my god, these are just back to back. Oh my god, what the F is going? This is just
proceed.
Okay. Episode 4, the 16th of good intentions. Xavier offers his mind, soul, and nipples to the care of 7 babies that he finds in a park, but his snake hand undermines these ideas. Meanwhile, the police close in on a notorious baby kidnapper. So this episode starts. Xavier is traveling to Phoenix while writing notes in his notepad and goes to a park where a mother is with her 8 babies. The mom climbs with one of the 8 babies on the slide at the playground, while Xavier steals the remaining 7 babies because he recalls a time where his dad abandoned him on the side of a road because he hit a bike behind a tree for Xavier, as Xavier witnessed his dad dying. But as the car crashed into a popcorn truck, Xavier sees the bike, realizing he was telling the truth. And in the present, Xavier, after going back from the flashback, takes the babies and leaves behind his notepad in the park. This is not going to end well. I'm just going to warn you guys. So Xavier takes the babies in a drain pipe where he makes home, where we flash back to Xavier with Chief Master Guru, as he showed him some abandoned birds as he puts them to a fire as they get rebirthed to be a giant egg. Remember this for later, people.
Okay.
And so Xavier makes his classic monologue in this segment about loving all the babies, which we're going to play now.
Kids, I swear, I'm gonna love all of you, and equally. I'll be dividing my love into 7 equal sections or love quadrants. Each quadrant will be worth 15 love units represented by these small brass marbles. You may use these marbles as currency amongst yourselves. Collect 35 love units. You can trade those in for a beach towel with my face on it. Collect more than 3 towels. What is that racket?
Where are my babies? Where are my babies? Where are my babies?
Keep it down, lady. We got families around here.
Ah, have you seen my babies?
I'm popping a peek at a smoking babe right now.
I lost 7 of my babies.
Tragic. I've got septuplets myself. I don't know what I'd do if I lost them. Good thing I'm a responsible parent. You should try it sometime.
And the most amazing thing is Xavier to this poor woman who he unknowingly kidnapped her babies tries to hit on the poor mother.
Oh boy.
And then chastises her for being an irresponsible parent. Just amazing. So now Xavier has the baby suck milk from his 6 nipples. But remember, there are 7 babies. So he's 1 nipple short. So his snake hand ensures that he'll take care of that. And he swallows and eats the remaining baby. Xavier's snake hand ensures Xavier that he won't swallow any of the babies again. And as Xavier feels the child spirit in his veins, as Xavier sympathizes with the mother. And so he says, I'm going to try to find the missing babies.
Oh, boy.
Oh, this is going to be amazing. Xavier finds a poster on the missing babies and goes to the mother, saying he's on the case, as the mother claims that people told her that Xavier wasn't real and that he was a nightmare. Xavier then says, "Is this a nightmare?" and plops a sloppy kiss on the mother.
Oh, boy.
Xavier goes back to the Porque, where he tries to become the criminal. And that he is shocked that the kidnapper knows his every move because he finds his notepad, which he assumes is the kidnapper's notepad.
This is...
But then he says he's on the trail and that it's not now a game and that the kidnapper may be checkmate, but now they're playing Chinese checkers. So Xavier goes back to the drain pipe to feed the babies when the snake hand says, "I never thought you'd ask," and then eats another one of the babies. But Xavier quickly gets over it and feels like 1,000,000 love units. The snake hand claims he wanted to give Xavier energy to find the missing babies. So Xavier then brings bloodhounds to the mother's house, which bullshit, because I watched this episode. Those are clearly basset hounds. And I know because my brother has a basset hound. So he brings the bloodhounds to find the scent of the remaining baby at the mother's house, where the bloodhounds eat the mother's remaining baby as Xavier and the bloodhounds run off. And then the police show up telling the mother that someone stole the police's bloodhounds, but they got the backup bloodhounds to chase the first-string bloodhounds as the mother cries that they ate her baby. And the police whine that they should never have left her alone, and that she's twisted. It has the gall to blame it all on police dogs. And the policeman looks at her messed up house and asks, "Those dogs were decorated. What have you ever decorated?" The dogs then go to the drain pipe with Xavier as he figures he has the kidnapper cornered. The cornholer has become the cornholer. The police get to the drain pipe as Xavier panics that they'll think he's the kidnapper, so the snake hand offers to get rid of the evidence by eating the remaining babies, which the snake hand does. And then the snake hand swallows Xavier as it becomes something like the space baby at the end of 2001: A Space Odyssey. And then it becomes a giant all-knowing fetus that the cops arrest and then put in the electric chair. Now, remember what I said about the egg at the beginning?
Yeah, the egg.
Well, guess what happens is when the giant space fetus gets the electric chair.
What happens?
It becomes a giant egg which rehatches into Xavier as he realizes that society...
I remember that episode.
Yes. He realizes that society needs to stop this selfish search into missing children, and we need to start searching for the child within, and tells the mother that he'll put some babies in her butt someday.
I vaguely remember seeing that episode.
Amazing. Just, what an amazing episode. But you know what's amazing? Episode 5, Pet Suicide.
Oh boy.
After being mistaken for a genetically engineered pet by a spoiled young child, Xavier decides to teach the child a spiritual lesson. And Xavier sets out to teach the boy's father, too. I won't reveal the last part because it's a spoiler, and I want you all to be shocked when I describe this twist when it comes out. Okay, so the episode opens. Xavier goes to a pet shop where he consoles a crying pet shop owner who's going to go broke, and Xavier decides to help him out. It turns out that the pet shop owner has weird pets like a pocket hippo, a deer cat, and a giraffe puppy. Would you want a giraffe puppy?
Giraffes are cute. Puppies are cute. Something tells me that giraffe puppies would just be wrong.
Yeah. Xavier makes the pet shop owner envision the store of customers when Xavier notices the two people in the envisiting look like suspiciously dressed up in trench coats as they hold the store up for money, taking the last of the cash in the store. Xavier helps the pet shop owner visualize a pair of customers as an oil tycoon and his son come into the pet shop as the son wants to have Xavier as a pet and orders his daddy to buy him as Xavier is offered by the oil tycoon to spend 2 hours with his son for $3,000. Xavier doesn't want to lose his dignity, but when the oil tycoon offers the pet shop owner $50,000, Xavier decides he'll do it, but to teach the son a lesson on his greedy ways. So the son plays with Xavier like he's Richard Pryor in the toy, while Xavier tries to use his mental judo on the son. The son at one point makes Xavier dress up like his grandma and smashes himself in the balls with a hammer.
Wow.
Xavier makes the son play a role-playing game where they switch places, where the son gets a silly flashback where he reaches true enlightenment and becomes one with the mother consciousness and discovers suffering and comes to the realization that he needs to buy all the suffering in the world. Xavier shows the son his crystal where every luxury causes the equivalent of pain somewhere else in a commercial for Proposition 1231. Okay, now here we go. Buckle up, folks. The son realizes he has blood on his hands and figures his dad will stop this. But Xavier tells him his dad is the worst of it all because of his oil tycoonery. So Xavier and the son decide that the dad needs to see the world through the eyes of a Native American. So they go to a cemetery where Xavier takes a giant syringe of Indian blood from a grave where they inject it into his dad while sleeping. And the dad, after waking up, realizes that after feeling the Indian blood inside of him, he figures he's now at least 15% Native American. So you know what he decides to do?
What?
He decides to open him up a casino.
That makes sense, actually.
Yeah, which pisses Xavier off so much, he throws the giant syringe of Indian blood at a wall. So we see the commercial for the oil tycoon's new casino where it's built on an ancient Native American strip club. We then cut to the dad injecting Native American blood when Xavier comes into the room and asks where he learned it from. From you, all right? I learned from watching you. Get it?
Yep.
The son cries, asking his dad, that he wants universal oneness, but the dad says he can have the oil pumps to the Indian burial ground and suck out all the blood. Xavier realizes the prophecy is foretold, because by definition, a prophecy is one that is foretold. So the oil pumps red Indian blood Indians who murder everyone in the casino, and Xavier figures if Prop 1231 had passed, this wouldn't have happened. So in response, Xavier and the son go to an ancient cowboy burial ground so the red cowboy blooded cowboys can fight with the Native Americans. But the cemetery at the ancient cowboy burial ground is tainted with Arab blood, causing a giant massacre at the casino. As Xavier and the son look on, Xavier says the son can take it from here as Xavier runs away as he moves on to the road of life and says to the audience to vote yes on Prop 1231.
This is the kind of surreal humor that pretty much is the entire Adult Swim original lineup.
Yeah. And folks, we are only 1/4 of the way done. Episode 6, World of Hurt BC. In the search for himself, Xavier decides to go back in time to investigate a prehistoric mural of one of his ancestors. Okay, so Xavier is drifting through the desert when he suffers a series of hallucinations, which ends up with him talking to a giant hand as Xavier asks who he is and where he came from and why the hand is pretending to be British. The hand answers none of these questions. Xavier then asks the computer, which, by the way, the computer is a sentient computer used by Xavier for analysis and information. He appears as a jerkily edited live-action actor set in front of a jarring black and white background. He is portrayed by John Flansburgh, half of the band They Might Be Giants. Yes. So Xavier asks the computer for help since he needs to eat. The computer tells Xavier to turn to the left where he sees a diner. So at the diner, the person at the counter and the patron at the diner talk about how every cigarette takes 17 minutes off your life, and that every slice of bacon takes 9 minutes off your life. Xavier arrives at the diner where the person at the counter and the patron think he's a... I'm not even going to say it. He's
Go, say it. Just say it. Just say it.
A term for a certain group of people in the most populous land in Asia.
In that case, do not say it.
Yeah, and they beat the crap out of him, of course. We then cut to a basket of fries as Xavier's being beaten up, as a Dukes of Hazzard-ish narrator says Xavier's going to get a basket of pain. Then all of a sudden a news report airs on the TV at the diner where the oldest cave drawing known to man is discovered, and it's a painting of Xavier. And Xavier wonders, is this the clue to my origins? So Xavier takes the TV with him to the cave. I don't know why he's taking the cave with him, the TV to the cave with him. It's not going to be plugged into anything.
It isn't going to be plugged to anything, but at the same time, you have to ask yourself, why does Xavier do anything?
Yeah. So he has the computer analyze the drawing, which determines that the painting is around 46,000 years old. So Xavier decides to find the origin of the painting by time traveling. And then he remembers what he heard about the cigarettes and bacon at the diner and figures he can go back in time. So he time travels by smoking cigarettes and eating bacon as he goes back to the caveman days. Xavier runs into a caveman, and wouldn't you know it, the caveman beats the crap out of Xavier as once again we look at the basket of fries with the narrator talking about Xavier getting another basket of pain fries.
Well, look at it this way. At least he didn't eat those fries, excrete those fries, and then those fries turned out to be Xavier.
Yeah. Xavier encounters a cave lady who's been beaten by her cave husband and says he'll be her guardian. And if the caveman wants to get through him, he has to punch the cave lady first. Xavier then sees an image on her back similar to the cave drawing and thinks the answer to his origin is close as Xavier enters the world of hurt, which is the physical manifestation of rage. The caveman then comes back into the cave and punches the cave lady's back, which pushes Xavier out, and says he no longer fears the caveman's pain fries, and that even though pain hurts, you need to confront pain if you want to transcend the crushing pain of your inner pain. He asks the caveman to look inside as to why he hurts people and feels tough. The caveman says he thinks he'd be vulnerable to get hurt. The caveman says to the cave lady that he only hit her because he loves her. Xavier says it's the smartest thing he's ever heard. Xavier gives the caveman a feather to write what he feels, as he writes a love poem to the cave lady. As Xavier says, he got in touch with someone very special, himself. Aww.
But did he find himself, though?
Well, here we go. The caveman says Xavier gave him a spiritual breakthrough and asks what he can do for Xavier. So Xavier says he's looking for a cave painting, and he wants to show it to him. So he demonstrates on the cave wall with chalk of the cave painting, and the caveman tells him that, in fact, it was Xavier who drew the drawing of the cave painting of himself. Yes. That is amazing. So what was that you said back at Second Chance, Chico? The Bootstrap Paradox?
Yeah, the Bootstrap Paradox. It's like you go back in time and do something that will ultimately function to keep history chugging along.
Yeah, so I guess that was part of the grand plan. Xavier had to draw that cave painting of himself. So the computer says that Xavier, in fact, drew the painting, to which Xavier says, "You figured it out right after numb-nutted Neanderballs," as Xavier tries to get back home by getting the bacon out of his system as he time travels back to the present, and at one point he encounters two people who bought a Patrick Nagel print after he died. Ken? He makes it back to the present and encounters the glitched-out snail he met at the start of the episode in his hallucinations, as Xavier won't feed it his face like last time, as the snail dies and becomes static snow. 14 more episodes, kids! Episode 7, Bloodcorn. Xavier is trying to stop Mother Earth from being raped, so he shuts down the factory. But that only starts a bigger problem. Poor families without a job. Okay, so Xavier encounters a floating Gandhi with an umbrella, where he's recognized as the world's #1 guardian angel, and encounters all the people he allegedly saved who are now dead. Xavier then wakes up on the sidewalk from a dream on his dream catcher, which Xavier believes was some powerful stuff. Xavier bathes in the river and dreams of helping people while touching himself when he notices trash pouring in from the river. Xavier chastises the people polluting the lake that they're raping Mother Earth while they all just dismiss him. Xavier flashes back to an encounter with Chief Master Guru, who informed him that Mother Earth is the brain in the universe. And Xavier figures if the Earth is a brain, does it have its dreams? As we see that the Earth does in fact have dreams, where it gets teased at school, and then we segue to the traditional Adult Swim title cards, telling us the rest of the dream is so mind-blowing, but they'd rather spend the rest of the money to fight genocide in Darfur rather than complete the segment. So we go back to the comedy, where Xavier wakes up at a bus station with a TV, as he calls it the Devil's Dream Box. And then for the next 6 hours, after spending $435.25, Xavier watches a commercial noting a mix-up at a chocolate chip factory where the cookies got way too big, and Xavier says no one deserves a mix-up that big, and figures he must help. But also, the cookie factory got mixed up with the tampon factory, where the cookies now absorb up to 2 pints of flavor. There's also huge chocolate chip tampons, which are durably chewable huge. Xavier thinks that with 2 screw-ups, something smells fishy. Xavier goes to the factory, as the security guard won't let him in because they don't allow freaks in these parts. Xavier then goes down to Mother Earth by putting his ear to the ground and asking if the factory is poisoning her, while he repeats everything Mother Earth says in a knock-knock joke that goes on for 2 hours. Xavier goes by the toxic waste at the factory, putting his dream catcher in the pipe, destroying the factory as the workers at the chocolate chip factory come out all depressed that they've lost their jobs. Xavier goes to one of the workers who lost his job and offers to help his family as he helps him out on his farm in the middle of a drought as he stays in a dust room. The laid-off worker talks about how the land has struggled and how it's all dust and they need rain real soon. Xavier decides to do a rain dance to stop the drought, to no luck, since he forgot how to do it. So he tries a memory jogging dance, which he forgot. The irony is rich. So he needs to do the Iroquois irony melting dance, but says only God can do it while it's raining. So the laid-off worker points his shotgun to the sky, asking God to dance, shooting at the sky when it rains blood. The blood causes the crops to become zombie crops. The laid-off worker shoots at the corn mutants and stuffs all the crops with a flamethrower, popping blood popcorn while giant ash trees terrorize all of downtown. Nature is out to make us pay for our sins against the earth. So Xavier's plan is to hack all the chocolate chip tampons into the smokestack at the factory, figuring they got one shot to stop God's bleeding. And they stop God's heavy blood flow. And the cycle of madness is over, at least for this month. Xavier says at the end that God is a lady, and he knows because he got her sopping wet and gave God's junk her just desserts. We then cut to the Earth, where it's a giant-ass eyeball that bleeds from its socket.
Yikes.
Yes. Episode 8, Escape from Squatopian Freedom. Pugler, the punk rock juggler, steals Xavier's significant necklace after tricking him into entering Squatopia, an anarchist commune. Now Xavier, a giant sperm, the world's oldest slave, and an anarchist crying out for chains, travel to the Burning Person Festival, a parody of Burning Man, to get it back.
Wow.
Yeah. So Xavier talks about the 20th anniversary of his father's murder while he's on a boardwalk getting cotton candy, pretending his dad is next to him. Xavier talks about how he hasn't experienced joy since his father was scorched alive. Remember that for later. Xavier encounters a juggler on the boardwalk juggling hot potatoes. When Xavier flashes back to his father's death, one young Xavier asks who did this, to which he replies, "Our son," to which Xavier says, "I know it was arson, Dad." Again, remember this for later. Young Xavier takes his father's crystal, swearing to avenge his father's death, when we cut back to Xavier on the boardwalk, chastising the juggler for trying to tame fire, and asks the juggler he lives in a place called Squatopia. The juggler takes Xavier to Squatopia, which is a fully self-sustained anarchist commune, when the juggler steals Xavier's crystal, because in Squatopia, anything goes. Xavier tours around the town of Squatopia as he explains how important the crystal is to him. Xavier is informed that the juggler is going to Burning Person. Meanwhile, Xavier gets a note from another squatter telling him to meet him by the punk hall at 3 p.m. The squatter tells him he needs to get out of town because he's sick of living this seed, asking Xavier to break him out, but Xavier will only do it if he can get him to Burning Person. Xavier figures the only way to do this is to build an underground railroad. So Xavier tries to get money for the shovels by going to a sperm bank to sell his seed. And Xavier goes to the sperm bank and releases his materials as it's becomes some alienish sperm puppy. So it follows him back to Squatopia, where it's discovered that the alienish sperm puppy is a great digger. Xavier and the squatter get to the original underground railroad, where they find an old slave, and they figure he must be 187 years old. So Squatter says they must take the old slave to Burning Person with them, and they can get the crystal back. Xavier the Squatter, the old slave, and the alien sperm puppy make it to Burning Person as Xavier looks for the juggler, but he encounters about a dozen similar jugglers. The juggler then goes to the Squatter to inform him that he's his dad, and gives the Squatter Xavier's crystal. The Squatter rejects the crystal, throwing it into the eco-vaporizer, which is about to get incinerated when the alien sperm puppy catches the crystal in its mouth. Xavier says, "Your spunk in the face of my cruelty has made me realize that I haven't been a good father to you. Every day I'm going to tell you about the birds and bees." The Burning Person explodes as everyone at the festival burns to death, and the only survivor is Xavier. And at the end of the episode is a mock dedication to everyone who died at Burning Person, except for the mothers, because they know what they've done. Mike, any comments? We're 8 episodes in.
Only 12 episodes to go.
Yeah, we're 2/5 of the way through, folks.
It's... Words escape me. Like I said, this is the most absolute freaking bizarre show maybe ever. And that's based on Adult Swim standards. Episode
9, Signs from Godrilla. So a little girl with a crystal ball tells the story of Xavier, who is in a crossroads standing at a fork in the road. One saying heart, one saying mine. Xavier eventually moves to the left, which says heart, where he encounters a town in a Wild West setting with everyone all bloodied and dead. Xavier walks into a room with a dead man, and guess who else is there, guys? A gorilla.
This has been your break for gorillas.
Yes. Xavier asks the computer to do analysis, and he needs to know what led up to the man's death. So he gets some brain matter for the computer to analyze, where we encounter in Xavier's brain a preacher with his gorilla that knows sign language under the tutelage of his wife. We cut back to Xavier in the room, believing that the wife was totally checking him out. We cut back to the preacher, who is with a psychic who wants to see what happens if he follows his heart. The preacher following his heart has... I'm not even going to say it. You know what? He's with the gorilla, and then he kills himself. The gorilla then starts doing sermons in sign language as everyone praises how elegant the gorilla is. We then go to someone else who is touched by the gorilla, who asks his 16-year-old daughter to sign a revirgination pledge, as Xavier is confused because he wants to know where the wife is. The daughter gets a new hymen in a revirgination that has an MP3 player, as we cut to a Christian radio station where the DJ is interviewing the gorilla, who's starting his own 700 club, and there's about wacky sound effects at the radio station every 5 seconds. The gorilla starts his 700 Club show with the preacher's wife as they interview a Christian actor who shows a clip of his new movie where he shoots up a bunch of angels in heaven to get back to Earth to save his wife, who's being raped by a gang, and it becomes the #1 movie for 9 straight weeks. Meanwhile, news reports say that the gorilla is the second or third coming of the Messiah, who has converted everyone to Christianity. So every human gathers to accept the gorilla as the savior as they ascend to glory. Xavier, back in the room, says he can't lose his love to glory. So he goes inside his dream with his giant arm in the dream world to grab the preacher's wife at the ceremony, and everyone reacts, "God has taken her? Weird." So we cut back to the preacher saying if he goes down the one path, everyone goes to heaven. He says score and leaves with the psychic after collecting his money, as the psychic calls him a sucker. Xavier is in the room with the preacher's wife, which he holds like a doll, when the computer comes back saying the brain juice is collecting thoughts in his head and Xavier needs to get out of his head. We go back to the little girl with the gorilla, who says Xavier changed his mind and went to the right path in the fork of the road. So Xavier arrives at a town filled with several people that we've met in previous episodes, like the Mosquito Mecca, Shiny, the Oil Tycoon and his son, the Quintuplet's mother, who all happily hug him when, oh my god, guys, they all turn out to be zombies who eat him and throw his corpse over a cliff with other Xavier's corpses, which turn out to be a dream of the gorilla, who turns out to be a robot who is controlled by a monkey. And
okay.
Mike is just drinking.
I'm out of drink. I had to follow all of that.
Like I said, this is going like you have to watch this, folks. I'm not making up anything I'm saying in these recaps.
And this is all available on the Adult Swim website at adultswim.com and also at the Adult Swim app, all for free.
Yes. So you can watch this whenever you want. Episode 10, the final episode of Season 1, Shaka Shuri Blowdown. After Xavier's father reveals that his quote-unquote killer is Xavier himself, Xavier splits his personality in denial as a battle ensues between the two, and the episode ends before a victor is determined. So the episode begins. Xavier searches for his father's killer when his father appears in a cloud and says, "It was you who killed me," to which Xavier responds, "What kind of a stupid name is Yoo-Hoo?" Get it? Yoo-Hoo.
Yeah.
But he comes to realize that, guys, Xavier was the one who killed his father. he gets depressed and sits in the car of a train because he swore he'd kill his father's killer and that he fingered himself to death. So he tries to kill himself when a blind man informs him that he's sitting on his head and he and another friend are about to beat the crap out of Xavier and rip him a new a-hole. The blind man asks his friend to hold his boots, his contact lens, his shirt, and fake leg as Xavier warns them to walk away. But they beat the crap out of Xavier and try to shave him down when they see a series of numbers on Xavier's body and run away. Xavier tries to figure out what it is and thinks it's a phone number and some sort of cosmic pardon from the governor of circumstance. So Xavier calls the number, and here it leads to this.
Hello? 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 Who's this? Who's this? I'm asking the questions. I called you. No, I called you, and you sound like the ugliest son of a bitch I ever heard. You sound like the physical manifestation of some loser's inner demons. Well, you sound like some total chode's inability to confront the reality of his past actions. If I ever get your stinky mug in my line of sight, I swear to Chekhov, I'll cock your clock off. Well, I'm going to be the bigger man and hang up first. Damn it. Listen, we don't cotton to freaks round these parts. Scram, weirdo. Oh yeah? I don't polycotton to coping tropes, even my own. So why don't you split? Looks like I already did. You're the sad figment of my twisted psyche's tragic dividend. You're the un-me. I'm the real me. You wanna be me, kiddo? I was the real me when you were still in my short pants. Hate to break it to you, but I wore them first. Me bequeathed thee the psychopathological hand-you-downs. So you're the one who stained them. Whoever found it, browned it. You'd like me to be you, wouldn't me? But it's too late. You snows. You lows.
So yeah, Xavier called the number, which leads to a conversation with himself. So the two Xaviers encounter each other as they try to figure out who the real Xavier is, snapping various quips at each other like, if you love soup so much, why don't you marry Soup? Because I'm already married to Justice. After that, they decide the only true way to settle is a Shaka Shuri showdown under St. Louis rules to the death. I wonder what St. Louis rules are.
I don't think I want to know what St. Louis rules are.
No.
They sound painful.
Yeah. The two Xaviers make music, which leads to visions of unicorns in a hamster cage being used as cancer lab rats, which then leads to some psychedelic LSD visions of the two Xaviers on the Shaka Shuris, leading to a series of opening door animations, sending us to outer space as we get a vision of an octopus-ish 8-armed Xavier touching a constellation similar to Michelangelo's David, leading us back to a sports announcer saying that that's time and what fast action that was, and tells us that we decide which Xavier won by writing on a postcard to wherever you go to determine who won, and the winner gets its own show, to which the Xavier Dad Cloud says, "It was you!" Get it?
Yeah.
It was you. Because Xavier killed him. So that's season 1, folks.
And if you think it gets any more sensical...
No, season 2 gets even more insane. Now remember, folks, we said that in season 1, the quest was Xavier was trying to find who killed his father. Well, in season 2, the quest is Xavier's trying to find his mother. So here we go. Episode 11, Vibra Cost. Xavier helps out a couple who lost their son in a car accident and takes massive amounts of pills to cope. The pills are filled with Monk's Zen vibrations, and he takes a kid from a church who he assumes is being sexually assaulted, but ironically, the kid is a sexual predator to replace him. Xavier then tries to stop the monks who are producing the pills, only to start a worldwide Vibra-cost. Yeah. So, yeah, I'm not going to read the description of this episode, the entire episode, because, oh my God, it is so terrible. But I will say, there is a special guest voice in the first episode of season 2. Do you want to guess who that? Do you want to guess who that is?
Who is it?
It's Bill Hader.
Yeah, I was going to say it's Bill Hader.
Yeah, Bill Hader does the voice of the priest in the episode, and he does the voice of the commercial in the episode for Fiddlin', which puts thousands of monk chants in one pill.
And Bill Hader, I'm sorry if I spoil anything, comes up in the episode after this one too.
Yes, episode 12, Xavier's Maneuver. After witnessing and causing the suicide of a window cleaner, Xavier vows to redeem the life of the window cleaner by becoming the guardian of a mob boss. So yeah, Xavier sees a man washing a skyscraper while sitting down and panics thinking he's trying to commit suicide. But after Xavier says he has a stench, the window washer commits suicide, and Xavier wonders why he suicided. Xavier flashes back to Chief Master Guru talking to his younger self about the gift of life. So Xavier decides to redeem the window washer's life as he looks into his wallet where he finds a redemption card for a place called the Daily Grinder, which says, buy 35, get one free, as he was about to redeem a free grinder. What a rip if you have to buy 35 grinders to get one free.
Yeah, what are you going to do with the 35 grinders other than, give it to somebody?
What and how insulting. He died right before he was about to finally get the free one. I mean, geez. Xavier says he will redeem it on the window washer's behalf. So Xavier goes to the Daily Grinder to redeem the card. There's a bunch of people in the restaurant choke on a bone that is passed back and forth, so he shows off a chicken choking maneuver he developed to stop the cycle of choking. The person he saved is a gangster named Don Ho, who wants to sue the chicken restaurant and will protect him from the chicken chokers. Xavier offers the gangster protection, and the gangster uses Xavier to torture people into paying the gangster what he needs. The gangster has a wacky henchman named Disgracio, who talks in a funny voice and offers to sing at inappropriate times, because he's the only singing henchman in the business. And he talks and sings like Jerry Lewis as an 8-year-old.
Lady!
Yeah. Privately, Disgracio whispers to Xavier that he's actually an informant that has been on the inside for 12 years, who's only been acting this way because when he started, he was a rookie who wasn't properly briefed on character development. So he just developed an angle where he was a singing henchman.
Yeah.
Xavier realizes that the cops might have info on the chicken choker to see what grease squeezes out. Don Ho thinks that they should put the squeeze on the cops. So Don Ho and Disgracio arrive with Xavier to the station and offers the police to give Don Ho's fund so there won't be an extortion. They pay him to stop spitting on him, and they give him the file on the chicken choker. Xavier notices that Chicken Chakowski is dead, and he's trying to kill from the afterlife. So Xavier needs to talk some sense in the other side. Xavier makes Don Ho shove the bone in his throat, and Don goes to the other side and steals some of the heavenly light in a briefcase. Xavier accidentally reveals to Don Ho that Disgracio is a cop, and he gets beaten to death. Oh, and he's killed by the ultimate hitman, who was raised from a baby, who was taught to kill without conscience, raised on hate and darkness, and fed on only lizards so he can heal himself. But there's one problem. He doesn't like his wife. But Don Ho doesn't care, because he's in the mafia, to which Xavier realizes, oh my God, Don Ho is in the mob? Don Ho says with all the heavenly light, he's going to be the Don of Death. Xavier makes him choke on the light as Don sees his life flash before his eyes with all the killing and pain he caused, as Don decides he's going to rehabilitate his life, spreading joy as he leaves. So Xavier's left to rehabilitate the beast. So Xavier tries to teach the beast all about culture and tries to teach him to speak. And after teaching him every word for a couple of hours, takes a picture with him on a disposable camera. Xavier asks what the beast wants to do. and his speak says he wants to commit suicide. The beast keeps killing himself, rapidly multiplying, and wants to kill Don Ho, as he's the architect of his despair. So the millions of beasts that beat the crap out of Don Ho, which makes Xavier realize it's an inside job, as this is what the cycle of random violence breeds. It always ends up boning the poor. Don Ho gets swallowed up by a black goop, which was caused by the beast, which then forms into a door, which Xavier sees as a gift. Xavier opens up the door and puts his hand through the door, saying he'll never let go, as on the other side is his younger self being choked, which warps into a clip of the beast surfing to end the episode.
This was a bizarre episode. Now correct me if I'm wrong,
I had
Greg,
to watch it twice.
Well, but the thing, I don't think Greg mentioned this, or maybe if he did, I totally just phased out. The whole thing when he splits the person in half and he becomes two of himself, and then when he throws the small versions of himself in a wood chipper and creates hundreds, if not thousands, of versions of himself.
Yeah. That
was bizarre. And then the hundreds or thousands of little people attacking. Oh my God! It was bizarre. I mean,
what did you think of the singing henchman?
Well, I mentioned before we started recording the show, the singing henchman sounded a lot like Fred Travellina, who would have been alive around this time. He would have died in 2009.
Yeah.
So, but it wasn't Fred Travellina, interestingly enough. It just sounded a lot like him.
And it does look kind of like Fred Travellina, if you think about it.
Okay, I'll take it.
Oh, by the way, did I mention that I've never mentioned this, but did you know that this show is the way it's animated, it looks entirely like a PS2 game?
Yeah.
I was waiting for you to mention that. I was going to mention that.
It looks like The Sims. It looks like The Sims.
It does have a Sims look to it, but also, again, it looks very much PS2-like.
Yeah.
Definitely not up-to-date graphics, if you will, which may be some of the irony in all of this.
Okay, so this next episode, episode 13, El Tornado, is listed as episode 13 on Wikipedia, but on the Adult Swim site, it's episode 4 of season 2. But this did air first. So I'll describe the description of this episode. Xavier confuses the friendship with the faux boat and ends up entangled in the energy crisis, deceiving a hurricane-driving scientist played by Vincent D'Onofrio and the self-abusing society in order to simultaneously save the snakes and tame his enemy, the wind. Meanwhile, Snakehand throws up. And, Chico, you said the title is a play?
Yeah, it's a play on words. It's El Toreador, which is Spanish for the bullfighter, and tornado. So it would be El Tornadador.
Yeah, so this episode is like Xavier's trying to find a friend, and he's going back to back and forth, pretending to be the friend of two different people: the hurricane driving scientist played by Vincent D'Onofrio, and a goth who's rejected by society, and he's going back and forth throughout all of them, trying to pretend to be their friends. So the scientist at one point shows Xavier a secret that he found. He had an idea to synthesize weather in a controlled environment to harness tornadoes to power everything, giving him the power over the weather to make it do things for the scientists. If they get out of line, he whips and hangs the tornadoes as he wants society to see what he's done. So he's creating mini tornadoes. And if they get out of line with him, he does bad things to the mini tornadoes.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So the end of the episode, Xavier informs the scientist about the plan by the goth to free the wind and says he can go stop the goth. The goth arrives to meet inside out Xavier. Oh yeah, so one of the things I forgot to mention. So at one point, the Snakehand, to make him switch back and forth, the snake hand will eat Xavier inside out, because the only thing the Goth recognizes Xavier as is the inside out Xavier, and the only thing the scientist recognizes Xavier as is his normal self. Yeah. Okay.
That's yeah.
So Xavier informs the scientists about the plan by the Goth. So the Goth arrives to meet the inside out Xavier as they become bromigos and put the tornadoes in a bag. But the scientist calls the cops. So Xavier becomes his regular self, selling out the Goth, arresting him. So the scientist, unaware that inside out Xavier is Xavier, says if they found his accomplice, they'd be triple uber bromigo sabe deluxes. Xavier makes Snakehand puke, fueling the cops into thinking that it's the inside-out Xavier as they take the Snakehand's puke away. Now that Xavier and the scientist are bromigo sabes, nothing will take them apart. When the scientist is sucked into the tornado, drilling into the ground. So Xavier finds a snake charmer to control the tornado, which has become a hurricane, which reverses the tide. And it turns out the snake charmer is the chief master guru who did all this to teach Xavier a lesson on true friendship.
Aww.
Yeah.
Aww?
Yeah. Episode 14, which is listed as on the Adult Swim site as episode 5 of season 2, Haunted Tonk. After Xavier revisits his childhood home, now a strip club for pregnant, lactating women, he reconnects with his youth by simply thinking he was visited by himself in the past. The process repeats, and then the cuddle crumbs are released. The title refers to honky tonks, a type of bar with musical entertainment that is common in the southwestern and southern United States. And one of the voices in this episode is actually played by Judah Freelander.
Mm-hmm.
He of 30 Rock fame.
Yes. And a million amazing hats.
Oh, yes.
All of them say world champion.
Yes. In addition to being world champion, we should also recognize Judah Freelander as one of the cast members on the original version of Best Week Ever.
Yes.
Of course. Of course, the reboot of Best Week Ever is going to be a future entry. But, oh my God. What an amazing... This is actually an amazing episode, guys. You got to check this out. So, yeah, Xavier goes to, like, his childhood home, which is now a strip club, as he goes to, like, various points of his home at various points of the strip club being like, oh, this is where my bedroom was. Or, this is where the dinner table was. Where, like, the strippers are, like, dancing and shit. It's amazing. Episode 15, which is listed as episode 3 of season 2. Free-range manibalism. Upon discovering that the livestock used by a local restaurant are treated better than the glue-huffing hobos outside, Xavier sets off to transform them in order to receive that standard of care, but only because he has to urinate badly. And this has probably like one of my favorite scenes in Xavier Renegade Angel, because he's trying to get a bunch of the two bums that are outside of the restaurant in which he really wants to urinate, and he has them like dress up as pigs so they can enjoy life as properly treated livestock at the restaurant. So he decides to get some pigskin at a sporting goods store. So he distracts the crowd by having them chant sports, 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 sports. And he steals a bunch of footballs, which he glues on the bums to have them pretend to be pigs. Chico, you're just shaking your head like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole episode, you need to watch this episode, guys. It is just, I don't want to go through the entire episode because, it's like I said, it's just, words can't describe this episode, folks. Episode 16, Damnesia Vu. Xavier wakes up with no memories, and the power of deja vu reigns supreme. So Xavier in this episode wakes up with no memories, and he can't remember if he knows his name, as he's in a room with multiple doors. He enters one room where he's in charge for security of a donkey mayor and tries to stop his assassination, which he doesn't do, and everyone assumes Xavier did it because he has a gun. Xavier gets put on trial, and because he's innocent, it proves he's on trial, and is sentenced into 3 glimpses into his soul, which gets turned into 7 glimpses. No! In the prison, Xavier witnesses a campaign rally outside where the new mayor vows to protect the child from human baby rapists. Xavier is zapped back into the room soon after and goes through a yellow door where he's in a place that looks like the moon, where he says he's never felt more alive, and then gets swallowed by a lizard, transporting him back to the room. Xavier wonders if this is a test where he hears a voice that says, soon. Xavier next goes through a brown door where he sees a decapitated body on the road and sees time reversed before he got hit by a car and decapitated. It's a world where everything is backwards. So Xavier realizes in this odd dimension, driving backwards over people can bend them. So he drives a car backwards and hits people with his car while driving backwards. He gets pulled over by the cops where we see him get backwards beaten up and backwards hanged by the guillotine. Xavier gets back to the room and repeatedly goes through the red door, which takes him to the green door multiple times, until he decides to go through a different door, which takes him to an animated land of simpletons, where the natives consider an insult sun god. So they decide to sacrifice him to the great sun god. As he gets cut up into different pieces, but looks like some weird tarot card piece before he regenerates back into himself, as he tells the natives that they need to give the sun god a taste of his own medicine. Xavier performs a sacrifice which angers the gods as he runs off a cliff, being chased from the gods, as the sun god eats Xavier's corpse, turning the sun god into a sun god, Xavier, who commits suicide, sending Xavier back into the room. Xavier goes through a purple door, encountering a lady who then turns into a weird purple goo, thinking that if he bided his time, he'd win his way. It doesn't turn out well, and Xavier's back in the room wondering why he's doing this, when he's sucked through a door, witnessing a man with a UPC price code on his head. Yes, folks, there's a man with a UPC price code on his head. And asks Xavier if he believes in God. And Xavier responds, that's a very complicated question, and is asked yes or no, as Xavier just rambles and rambles, frustrating the man with the UPC price code on his head into killing himself, transporting him into that room as the price scanner goes through the barcode, revealing Xavier's face on the man's body. So it was me all along. And Xavier decides to just go through the black door, taking us to the normal opening credits sequence, where Xavier finds an old crying lady who turns into a giant snack upon Xavier touching her, as her ex-husband comes into the frame. Xavier tries to console him when he touches him and turns into food too. Xavier's mom enters and asks, do I smell food? Mother, sure, help yourself. Xavier's mom offers Xavier a hug for the first time when Xavier's devil inside tells her to get the hug, who then gets advice from the devil inside Xavier's devil, who gets advice from the devil inside the devil of Xavier's devil. And after a conversation with the various devils, we see more inside devils inside the devil.
That's like burrito. All of a sudden, I'm thinking of burritos.
It's another Dorito. You have a devil, the devil inside your head, who's being spoken to by the devil inside its head. It's Devilception.
Devilception, yeah, that's a good one.
Devilception, okay.
One of the devils offers a grinder, who passes it on to the different devils in a game of telephone as Xavier gives his mom the grinder. His mom whispers, right into my plan, as upon Xavier's mother touching him, Xavier turns into Village Chili.
Village Chili.
And then we get a commercial for Slippy Town Village Chili Slide Park with a beef pipe, which you jalapeno your pants. We cut back to Xavier back into the room, who wants to know what this is about, as he gets sucked through one of the doors and keeps falling into as he encounters a checkerboard man. So it's like a man, but it's like He's like, his entire body's shaped like a checkerboard.
Really?
And, yes. Xavier asks if he knows how to make it stop as he opens a door in its back to the room as Xavier uses his tongue to go through a door in the room with the donkey mayor as his tongue shoots the man who asks Xavier to protect the mayor at the beginning. Meanwhile, in the room, the other Xavier turns around and sees Xavier's eye behind the checkerboard man's back from the door as he uses his shakashuri to poke the other eye from the other Xavier who's watching, sending him back to the room with only one door left to try. Xavier goes to a pink door where he becomes a little girl with his regular voice when he encounters a guy in the desert who can't go to heaven because he's gay. So Xavier, as a girl, tries to send the gay guy to heaven through the underground railroad, pushing him up the post. Oh my God. I won't say it, but needless to say, it succeeds. It causes a breach in the system, causing heaven to self-destruct if the gay person doesn't reveal himself. The gay guy does reveal himself and becomes the new Messiah, whose first act is to drop the act as he bursts into a black man, becoming the first black man in heaven. Xavier is sent back to the room as he gives up, but a face tells him to open all the doors at once, overloading the system, which he does, and is congratulated to play the game of life.
Okay.
Four more episodes, people. We're almost done. Episode 17. Going normal. Xavier hears a yell for help, which takes him to a cryogenics place where he rescues some people, only to find out they weren't supposed to be thawed out until science could cure them. If you can't stand the body heat, then stay out of the freezer of fate. They all end up decomposing as one of the thawed out people swears to spend their every atom to serve ice cold vengeance on Xavier. Where we go to young Xavier with Chief Master Guru, where the chief gives young Xavier his loincloth, which helps him wipe away all of suffering, while young Xavier pledges to serve ice-hot justice. We go back to Xavier at the cryogenics place. As he is angered, he takes off the loincloth as a censored ball covers up his you-know-what, which is revealed to be a bug, showing his member part is an eye.
That's all I need to know about that episode.
Oh, yeah.
He's trying to be normal, except he has a third eye where his third eye is supposed to be.
So Xavier takes a job at the corporation that runs the cryogenics place as he tries to just become a normal guy. So he rips one of the dead people's faces off and puts it on his face to pretend to be a normal guy. So Xavier's asked by his new co-workers on how he feels about freaks, and he claims to feel the same about it, making the workers think that he's in competition with another worker named Peterson from another job. Xavier is asked by his boss on what to do with a plant at his job. He says because he is so normal, he wants to put freaks in the ditch. He's also asked about what to do with the theft of office supplies. He says he's normal with no secrets hidden. The boss thinks they need to see within to replace their bulbs with X-ray bulbs to find the culprits. Xavier, after being constantly asked by his boss, tries to say he's normal and needs to be stopped being singled out like a freak, which the boss interprets into, "Oh my God, I think we all need to come up with our own ideas." They decide to put so the corporation decides to put fragrances in appliances to make their products irresistible.
Yeah.
So at the workplace, Xavier is replacing a guy named Ryan. He's referred to as New Ryan at the workplace, and he is informed about old Ryan's wife and kids, and that he should talk with old Ryan's wife. So Xavier meets old Ryan's wife and kids, and the kids are scared by Xavier as New Ryan. Xavier tells old Ryan's wife that she needs to have dinner ready for him, and that Wednesday is meatloaf night. So he has dinner with the wife and kids.
Okay.
I could go by reading the rest of this episode, but Oh my god. There's also one point where Xavier is wearing a mascot costume, and it looks like the cousin of Gritty. Yep.
Wow.
Which so happens to look exactly like Xavier. Episode 18.
We're almost done, folks.
Karma Bionic Lotion. Xavier comes across the town of Lotion, where a reporter gets his scoop on Xavier after the town tries to raise money for a golden statue of its dead founder and gets into debt. So this episode is like Xavier goes to a town called Lotion, New Mexico, and like he suggests to them like that they should all try to win the lottery. So they all win the lottery, and they turn themselves into like gold statues after winning the lottery.
Huh.
I know, it's just weird. Oh, and part of this episode is like at various points it's like it's Xavier down under. Yeah, there's like it's like the opening title sequence at like some points of the episode with like the Xavier Renegade Angel, but it's just like Xavier down under with like an Australian guy going down under. Australia like figures like at no point in this episode whatsoever.
It's just an Australian guy.
Yeah.
Crikey!
All right, episode 19, Damnesia U. So this is kind of a sequel to episode 16, but the entire episode is a compilation and mixing of videos from a contest Adult Swim had where you could make your own version of Xavier Renegade Angel. And various clips of it are like played in certain segments into the episode when Xavier is going through all the different doors. There's like a live action Xavier, there's like a video game Xavier, there's a version of Xavier that's a puppet. I mean, it's a very creative episode if you see it on Adult Swim. I guess we're now to the grand finale, folks. The final episode of Xavier Renegade Angel. Brain Gas Final Cranny. After struggling on a beach with his self-imposed policy of anti-violence, Xavier sneaks into a mental institution with the aim of reuniting with his long-lost mother. So yeah, Xavier finds out that his mom has been taken to a mental hospital. So like most of the episode is Xavier going into the mental hospital trying to save his mother. And people, I gotta say, the final episode of Xavier Renegade Angel, I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to spoil all the twists and turns in this final episode. But let me say this, and I will say this. The last scene of Xavier Renegade Angel has a twist that I swear to God is better than any twist in any final episode. It's better than the twist finale in the Bob Newhart show. It's better than Tommy Westfall on Seen Elsewhere. It is amazing. And like Mike said, all 20 episodes are on the Adult Swim website. You can go and stream the episodes wherever you want. There is a DVD of the entire series, but it's out of print, and it goes for like insane amount of money on eBay. We're not going to do an eBay Prices Right about it, guys. But yeah, I'll say this. As we said, this show is absolutely insane. I mean, what more can we add?
Well, also, in addition to the Adult Swim website at adultswim.com, you can watch every episode on the Adult Swim app for free.
Yes.
So it can easily be found. I don't know who you're talking to about not doing eBay Prices Right. Damn it, we're doing eBay Prices Right.
Oh, no.
Oh.
So, Greg mentioned how expensive the series set is on DVD on eBay. Did you do any research as to how much they go for?
No.
You're not Greg.
Oh.
I have an idea of what they go around for.
So should I do Clock Game with Chico?
Yeah, let's do that.
All right.
Oh boy.
Chico, you're on the hot seat again.
I hope I was paying attention. It's like half of that episode was just me looking at Greg like, those are words coming out of your mouth.
Okay, so what I'm going to ask you for is the highest price a Xavier Renegade Angel complete set has gone for on eBay sold. Okay, so that you're not going to be going by any buy it nows or active buy it nows. We're talking about finished results sold, clock game style, 30 seconds. I want to do dollars and cents. So it's not going to be just single round dollars, okay?
Okay.
Okay. And again, I'm looking for the highest price of a sold DVD set. And I'll just tell you this. The most expensive one in recent memory sold on April 30th. Okay?
Okay.
All right. Ready?
Ready.
Set, go.
$200.
Lower.
100.
Lower.
50.
Higher.
75.
Higher.
80.
Higher.
90.
Lower.
89, 88, 87, 86, 85, 84, 83.
Higher. Higher than 84.
84.50.
Higher.
84.75.
Higher.
84.99.
Oh, with 3 seconds left. Just like last time. 3 seconds left, he gets
$27.35.
$84.99.
Damn.
And other ones have sold for $75, $65, $60, $50. The lowest is actually one sold for $29.99 on April 14th. So, yeah, it's going to be a little expensive, but also, like we said, at least for the time being, as of when we're recording this, you can see every episode for free on the Adult Swim website and also the Adult Swim app.
But there's one more thing we got to mention.
We're not done yet?
Oh, no. Last month, we got the grand return of Xavier Renegade Angel.
Yes, we did.
Yes, as part of Adult Swim's 2020 commencement series.
Oh, yeah. I remember that now.
Yes. So among your Eric Andres, your Carls from Aqua Teen Hunger Forces, we got the grand return of Xavier Renegade Angel in HD, no less. So he's been upgraded from looking like he's in a PS2 game to a PS3 game.
Or an Xbox 360 game. I don't know.
Yeah. But, oh, man, he's come to give words of wisdom for all the graduates of 2020. And I think you all need to check it out on the Adult Swim YouTube channel. It's very inspirational. It's better than any commencement speech I ever had.
And it's all of about 3 minutes long.
Yeah. Oh, I think it's like 3 to 5 minutes long, but it's amazing. It is incredible. So we're gonna have to wrap this episode up. What do you have to say about the Xavier Renegade Angel?
What can I say except it was a thing on TV?
Yep.
That's all we can say. It was a thing on TV.
It was literally a thing on TV. But guys,
with a snake hand and everything.
Snake hand that ate babies. What can I tell you? But you can listen, folks, to every episode of our show on our archive at itwasathingontv.com. We're on every social media. We're on the Tumblr. We're on the Instagram. We're on the Facebook. We're on the Jack Dorsey's Hate Box. And, of course, every Wednesday, 2 of our previous week's back catalog up on Place to Be Nation Pop. You can check that out. Listen, as we said in the last episode, you can listen to, the whole 2-hour, 90-minute, 2-hour, whatever it is, if you're like on a long drive or whatever. I don't know if anyone's doing long driving these days, but if you do, come on.
I know I do long drives to and from work, so.
Yep. So, okay, next week, guys. We had a bizarre episode, and maybe a bizarre thing in the first episode with Quirk. But next week, I think we're going to kick it even more bizarre.
I'm looking at the schedule for next week. Oh, yeah.
How can it be more bizarre than what we just talked about?
Let me put it to you this way. Something dropped on Netflix over the week, and we're going to be talking about something related to that.
Folks, 2 words for you. Magic Rock.
Oh, no.
Oh,
no.
But that doesn't hold a candle to... Actually, I have no idea what the second entry is. All I know is it came out 30 years ago, and I have not seen hair nor hide of one episode of it.
Next week's second episode is actually a viewer request. We received it on Twitter maybe about a month and a half, 2 months ago, and I thought, you know what? Let's use some viewer submissions, just because we enjoy hearing from you. We don't want this to be just overburdened by us. I know you guys, the listeners, want us to cover certain shows. But also, next week, we did actually have a hole in the schedule. Not going to mention what we were going to cover, because I think we're going to cover it later on this year. But there was a little bit of tension regarding that topic maybe about 4 months ago, and discretion was the better part of valor. We made the decision, you know what, we're not going to do it now. Maybe we'll revisit it once this gets, sort of tides over, the controversy that we're vaguely describing.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the next week is going to be, well, we've had a couple of viewer submissions, and we've covered one previously, and we've got it made. We're covering one next week, and actually some other listeners have sent us other suggestions, which we've definitely added at least one to our submission list. Now, when we're going to cover it, I can't tell you, but we don't want you to think that we're doing just what we want to do. We're listening to you. We're using your suggestions. We're definitely deliberating when to use them, and like I said, we've used one, and we're going to do a second one next week. This one's for you, person who submitted this, whoever you are. I forget because it's been a long time ago, and I don't want to give away the subject just yet.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. That's all next week, but for now, it's goodbye from Greg. Say goodnight, Greg.
Good night, Greg.
And it's a goodbye from Mike.
Okay. Good night, everybody.
And it's a goodbye from me. We'll see you next week with another thing on TV.
Wow! 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 Wow!
You've been listening to It Was a Thing on TV Down Under.